all right. How y'all doing tonight? Guess who's back? Back again. Just got back a little while ago, just getting some sun. Decided to get on here and talk some serenity since we're on a Sunday schedule. You know, I put on something a while ago. Well, let me start because there could be some folks in here that don't know who I am. My name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope that you find something that you're looking for, something that gives you a little bit of hope, something that gives you a little bit of understanding about what my channel's about. On Sundays, I try to do Serenity Sunday. I try not to do true crime. But tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about a lot of things. You know, the other night, I talked about true crime. I talked about the Idaho 4. I talked about a lot of things that stirred up some feelings in some folks. I got some emails. I got some texts. I got some things that ruffled some feathers. But you know what, guys? It's all good. I'm still here, right? Anyways, tonight I want to talk about some serenity. I want to talk about some good things that are going on in the world today. Like I said, my name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. Hey, Rondi, thank you so much for visiting tonight. I hope that you've had a good week. I hope you've had a good weekend because we're about to start into another month, another week, another wonderful, wonderful time to be alive. It seems like just you and I are in here tonight, so it's cool. It's cool. Let's get this show popping a little bit. You know, my purpose of doing Serenity Sundays is nothing more than giving people the opportunity to relax a little bit, to unwind. You know, to really give yourself the time to be you. You know, because the world is an ugly place right now. It's really an ugly place. There's a lot of ugliness. There's a lot of people that are looking to 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 prosper off of people's pain. My day has been beautiful. My day has been beautiful. Um, I can't be happier. You know, I've just came back from a week, almost 9 days, I guess, of vacation. So you know, as you can see in the background, the ocean's crashing. Got a lot of vitamin D out there in that ocean salty environment. You know, being outside, and I know this that you know this, Rondi, because you are usually up early in the mornings running, as you say. You know, you're out there exercising and doing the deal. You understand that sunshine's good for the soul. It's good for the endorphins. It's good for a lot of different things that cure your ills. I spent a lot of time in the sun. I did a lot of swimming. I did a lot of sightseeing. I ate wonderful food. Did a lot of the vacation stuff. I interacted with a lot of beautiful people. You know, you really don't understand what type of different people there are in this world until you travel. And then you see some beautiful, beautiful people. You see some spirits in people that are happy. You see some folks that are happy to see you. You see some people that are genuinely in a good place. And that's why I like to do these Sunday things because you know what? we need to be in a good place. And got these shades. I didn't know how I felt about them at first, but I'm kind of rocking them, man. I'm kind of enjoying them. What y'all think? What you think, Rhonda? You like my shades? You think I'm rocking these bad boys? Let's see what the motivational quote is for today. Because today is August 4th, 2024. Let me give you a little bit of motivation. I love this. I have a similar thought pattern to this. I have a thought pattern to this, but it's kind of the same way. And thank you very much. We cannot solve problems with the kind of thinking we employed when we came up with them. Albert Einstein. I've kind of adapted to that saying a little bit and always say we can't get well where we got sick. And that is that is true. It said we cannot solve problems with the kind of thinking we employed when we came up with them. So since we're going to talk about overcoming negative mindsets, hey Baywatcher, welcome. Since we're going to talk about overcoming negative mindsets, I want you to think a little bit about not getting well in the same place you got sick at. What that really means regarding getting better emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. You know, before I went on vacation, I was really stiff with my muscles, and it was hard getting around, and I was having a little bit of health issues that I wasn't comfortable with. But I got away, and almost instantly, man, like the health problems went away. My back wasn't hurting. I wasn't tight. I wasn't not able to bend over and, without hurting. And, I did a lot of swimming. I did a lot of stretching. I did a lot of stuff. And I have to remember that I can't get well in the same place I got sick. Meaning that whenever you go back to certain patterns of living, instinctively we all do it, right? We all do this. Instinctively we go back and we slide back into the old patterns of living, and before long we're back where we were before we got well. And you know that is a wonderful thing to know when you're trying to overcome patterns of dysfunctional living is we can't go back to the same place we got sick. Meaning that whatever it is that you're around that continues to make you sick emotionally, spiritually, physically, you must identify these things to overcome them. You must identify these things to get past those isms of, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. I, I, I hate doing this. Well, when you overcome that thinking pattern, you're free to move past those isms that were making you sick. Does that make sense, guys? Give me a thumbs up if you can do a thumb in the chat, or if you can do a number one if that makes sense. You can't get well where you got sick at. It's kind of like, let's say you have the flu for a week and you start feeling better, but you don't disinfect. And then the next week, you start feeling lethargic again. You start with the coughing. You start with the body aches and all that stuff because you didn't clean up. You didn't disinfect. You didn't bleach. You didn't open the window to get fresh air in. You didn't do any of that stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. Many of us do not disinfect our lives once we get to feeling better. We hang on to old familiar patterns. We hang on to old familiar people. And we allow them to stay around and talk any way that they want. And we listen until we're burdened down with what we're listening to. It's like whenever you want to move past a particular point in life, they call that shifting. Okay, whenever you want to shift to another area of life, you have to be motivated enough to trust the process. I don't know if y'all have noticed in the last two live that I've done, they've been kind of crappy because, internet service is kind of crappy no matter what awesome place you're staying at. The internet is kind of crappy. But I hope that you can understand that my level of mental shifting has been occurring through these last 2 weeks because up until that point, I was getting pretty stagnant. I was getting pretty burnt out. I was getting pretty frustrated, overwhelmed with other people's delusional thoughts. And I was making them my own. It's like I was hanging on to people's thoughts on certain things. And I was like, 12 gauge, why are you so emotionally invested in trying to prove other people wrong or right? Do you, boy? Do you, bro? Stop worrying about others. You didn't start this channel to worry about others. You didn't start this channel about numbers. You didn't start this channel about understanding other people's prerogative about certain cases. You started this for yourself, my man. So stop worrying about other people. And these 2 weeks, the first week I couldn't post, I couldn't upload, I couldn't put anything in the community tab. And it was a good thing that I got a timeout because you know what? Sometimes God does that for you when you can't do that for yourself. And if you're not a religious person, please don't let my mentioning God of my understanding to run you off because that is just my own understanding. You know what I mean? Whatever you believe or don't believe, that's your prerogative. We agree to disagree in here, and everybody's thoughts and feelings are valid. That's what I want you to know if you're new to the chat. But in my perception, God slowed 12 gauge down because 12 gauge was moving too fast. 12 gauge was sick and he was allowing himself to get out there and just follow the masses of insanity instead of staying true to himself. That is my motto. Stay to thy own self, be true. And I wasn't following that. I wasn't being true to me. I was being true to everybody else. Everybody else had something to say about what I was saying. And I was like, okay, do I disagree? Do I agree? Do I try to challenge it? Do I get angry? Do I do this? Do I do that? Until I didn't have a choice anymore. Everything happens for a reason at the right time. I have no ill feelings toward anybody on this in this crime community. I don't want you to think that. Whatever you think, that's your business. Your creations are your own. And when I talk about certain things that I see, it's not making fun or doubting other people's creations. I'm just challenging it for myself. Nothing else. That's it. Because to my own self be true, that is me being true to 12 gauge. Like I've said before, I hold myself to a higher standard. Nobody else can do that for me but myself. And that's why I do certain things differently for me, you know, because People get sick whenever they're so invested in certain things that they cannot change. There's people with health problems, with heart problems, with blood pressure problems, with high blood pressure, high diabetes, all these things, and if you don't take care of yourself, boy, you're going to break down. And we always get humbled by something bigger than ourselves. I want you to know that. I want you guys to understand that we will get humbled. We will get humbled by something greater than ourselves. You know, because there's nothing in this world that is greater than your freedom, than your health, than your ability to stay true to you. If you change who you are because you're not being accepted by the masses and you have to go against your beliefs or your morals or your values in order to feel accepted, that's what a lot of these cases that we cover, that's what these individuals do. They feel unaccepted. They feel like they're emotionally sick, they're spiritually sick, they're mentally sick. And guess what they do? They end up hurting themselves by hurting another. And I don't know if you realize it, but there's a lot of people that have had some health problems that are creators. They don't sleep, they don't eat right, they're so consumed in cases, but we can't do anybody any good if we aren't good to ourselves. And that's part of the serenity that I have for you guys today is if you're not good to you, you can't be good to anybody else. You can't be anything to anybody else if you're not true to yourself. If you don't have a solid foundation beneath you, you can't. You know? Exactly, Jeff. Exactly. You know, there's a time that we're going to be humbled in our path because we're moving too fast. We're living outside of our belief system. We're going against what we believe. We're going against what we understand as a person that has led us to success. We go against it because we become so intertwined with everybody else trying to be successful. Some of my earlier videos, I don't know if y'all been able to dig back in those archives of mine in my library. But some of my older videos, that guy was hungry. He was hungry for truth and justice and to try to teach people certain things about true crime. And somewhere along the way, in these 6 months, he lost his way. He lost his motivation. He lost his ability to be true to himself. And he became fixated on other things. Because I can tell you, it's an ego boost to go on somebody else's panel. It's an ego boost to be mentioned in certain things. It's an ego boost to say, hey, you're doing a great job. You need to check this guy out. It's an ego boost. I can't tell you that it's not. But you know what? At the at the finish line of life, whatever goals you set, those goals should be an ego boost that you created and accomplished. I never thought I'd have 20, I don't know how many subscribers I have. I haven't looked today. I remember talking to Jeff H early on because he was the first one that I reached out to because I had talked to Jeff very briefly on another panel on another person's show, and I liked the way Jeff thought. I liked the way he communicated, and I thought, you know what, I want that dude to be on my channel. I want him to come up on my panel and talk to me because I believe that we can get along. We can bounce ideas off of each other and we can get along. And we have. And you know, I don't know if Jeff remembers it or not, or he admitted, but some of our early some of our early videos, man, we were just talking to two or three people in chat. There's what it shows three people here, but we were literally talking so little people, right? And we were happy to be giving them our best because it wasn't about numbers. It wasn't about anything other than giving them our best, to giving them a piece of our heart, giving them a piece of our hope, our understanding. And that's why I get so upset when people attack Jeff because I've talked to Jeff off panel, and the way people talk sometimes to Jeff, it infuriates me because they don't know the type of person that I've talked to, and some other people, I've talked to them off camera. And I tend to surround myself with people that are going in the same direction, whether it's what people call a guilter or a pro burger or whatever stupid name they have for these cases. I think it's about staying true to what your core is all about. Staying true to you. And I think that it's difficult to stay true to yourself, and I've seen a lot of people do it in these chats. And I'm glad that you do, that you stand up for your beliefs, one way or the other, and that you continue to feed yourself with your spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental awareness that keeps you that keeps you driven and going forward. Because you know what? It doesn't matter what I say up here. People are going to dissect it. They're going to take it for what it is. They're going to agree with me. They're going to disagree with me. They're going to call me out on my faults or whatever because it makes them feel a little better about themselves that they're able to see something that I didn't see. And that's what I'm trying to say. Over time, I allowed myself to start feeling a certain kind of way about people questioning what I was seeing. Here's an example for you guys. I posted a picture of a knife the other day on my community tab. And I basically spoke as if I was the knife, talking to myself. And I put, why would you leave a sheath behind? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Toward the end of it, I put, you know, a person with a malice heart and a focused demeanor on an evil act makes the knife a deadly weapon. The knife in itself is not a deadly weapon until it's used in a malice way. And out of everything that I said, somebody said something about the knife not being the knife that I was talking about. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That's fair. But you didn't get the concept that I was trying to get across. That knife is not any more deadly than a butter knife unless it's used in a malice and focused mindset for evil. And that's what I hope that you understand in life. Evil is not evil until somebody's already evil and gets another opportunity to be eviler. And how did people get that way? They lose their way in life. They lose their way. They do. I'm going to take these off for a minute. I only was wearing them because my eyes were burning because I've had a lot of salt, a lot of sand, you know, a lot of chlorine. They're kind of blurry right now, so that's why I was wearing them. Yeah, you know, I was talking about that knife in a perspective that the knife was talking to others. The knife was talking, saying, to be honest, that's what TBH means. Um, you know, the knife was talking to an audience about, the way that the only way it could be evil is if the perception of an evil, focused, malice intended person led the way. I hope that you fight against those thoughts. If you've ever been in a dark place in life, I hope that you fight against that because I know it's not an easy way to be. It's not an easy place to be. I know there's some people that are in my chats that struggle with post traumatic stress disorder. They struggle with trauma. They struggle with depression, anxiety. They struggle with a lot, and I understand that, Cash. I understand that. Um, they struggle with a lot, and I feel for people that struggle with those things because, like I've told you in other streams that I've had, I've been there. I've struggled with those things. PTSD is a terrible thing to have. Anxiety is a terrible thing to have. Depression is a terrible thing to have. Low self esteem, low self worth is a terrible thing to have. Thank you, Cash. You know, whenever you look at humanity in a way that gives you understanding about other people, you take your own bias out the equation. You know, I went with family on this vacation, and I've showed them a side of life they've never seen before. We've seen cultures that they've never been exposed to. We saw homeless people. We saw gangs. We saw we saw all types of different people that they've ever been exposed to where they're from, and they were intrigued. But they weren't intrigued so much that they wanted to become that. They had a respect for it. They didn't talk down about them. They didn't. They didn't feel that they were any better than the people that we saw. It was a lovely thing to see the world through a child's eyes. And they're still children to me, even though, they're 15, 16 years old. They're still children to me. It is a wonderful thing to see the innocence in a child's eyes, how they view the world until somebody corrupts it for them. And too often times, that's what happens to these children. Something corrupts their mindset And they end up turning out to be these people that we talk about on these cases. They turn out to be the ones that we hear about in these breaking news stories. They turn out to be certain people, but does that make them a bad person? Because they experienced something in life that turned them, that shifted their innocence into something survivalistic? Of course not. But the world has a problem with having to label people. They have a problem having to label somebody or give them some kind of name or description to put them in a category in order to understand them. Whatever happened to just understanding somebody just simply for them being who they are without having to put them in a category? You know what's interesting is that if we ever get to the point in life where we can just look at somebody else and give them the same opportunity that we give ourselves, then the world will be a better place. Because remember, some of us used to be told, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Don't stare at people. Don't tattle. Don't, don't call people names. Don't do this. Don't do that. For some reason, it became okay to disrespect people by calling them names, by calling them the ugliest words possible, by calling them out due to their skin tone, or by calling them out due to their educational delinquencies, whatever. It's sad that we can't see past our own imperfections, that we have to thrust it on other people. What's a lazy debate? What I'm talking about? I don't view it as lazy. I think it needs more attention because people have gotten lazy. They've gotten complacent. It's kind of like, you can go anywhere you want and you can say anything you want, but does that make it right? Does that make it okay? Does that make it you're the expert on the subject? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But there's a lot of people that can't respectfully discuss things. They have to have the last word. They have to be the loudest in the room. I didn't take it personal. I'm not in that mindset right now. And even if you meant it towards me, I mean, I'm kind of chill right now. Like, I'm like, okay, whatever, it don't matter to me, think what you want. I mean, honestly, I'm, I'm just talking because this is a serenity type discussion. I'm not talking about true crime. I'm talking about getting past attitudes and behaviors that people display upon other people. And no better place than to talk about that on YouTube because it's high truth exposed. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but correcting somebody used to be about you say, well, this is what I've heard through education or this is life experience or whatever. You used to have to give footnotes or, citation to back up your factual information to be correcting somebody. Now there's no there's no citation there attached to it. It's just something they read, something they Googled, something that was spread, whatever. I mean, and I take college courses right now, and I have to give citations for everything that I quote. So I can't just quote somebody saying something without a citation. You know, um, you know. Oh, about the wrench. When I got that week, whatever happened that week, there was a lot of people that lost their wrenches. Like I only when I was back when I made it back, there was only like four people that had wrenches still. So I don't know what happened. So you can blame me, but I didn't take it. So I don't know. I didn't take it because I thought that you were a bad moderator. There was a lot that was wrong with my channel once I got it back, you know? Well, that music that I was playing was not. YouTube lets you play music that they're just not going to monetize your video. You can play that music all you want. The reason I got in trouble was because the last two songs were not those type of songs. They were copyrighted, you know? So, yeah. So yeah, that's why I was gone for a week. So you can call it stupid if you want. I guess, I was tired and I uh I was not paying attention at that point and I was playing the last two songs of the night that I was gonna play and I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have and I got in trouble for it, so I paid the price, you know? So that's enough about that. I'm getting back to the positive. I'm talking about positivity here. So let's try to stay positive in the chat also. You know what I mean? I'm not here to answer for my decisions, okay? I'll answer on another true crime stream, all right? So what like I was saying as far as, getting to the point in life where we we get to that point where it's okay to feel a certain way, but not everything should be heard. Not everything needs to be heard. Just like some of the stuff that I say, nobody wants to hear that all the time. And I'm not so above what I'm talking about right now that I don't use this for myself. There's times when I'm thinking something that if you really knew what I was thinking and I said it, you probably wouldn't like it. You probably wouldn't even like me. But that's part of being an adult is to be able to filter that out and think through the process where you just don't speak on everything that's directed your way. And granted, I know that people have situations in life that where they can't filter their situations and they have those moments where they feel they need to say everything that they feel and think. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's hurtful, you should try harder. Because being hurtful doesn't accomplish anything. It really doesn't. If your sole purpose in being right is to be hurtful, to beat somebody down with that's like being a bully, right? Nobody likes to be bullied, one way or the other. Can I get some feedback on that? Do you think that people like to be bullied verbally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? Give me some feedback on that, guys. Do you think that people enjoy being bullied at all? Of course not. I wouldn't believe so. Because I would believe that you would want to be treated with the same dignity and respect that you're giving other people, right? Is that not true? Well, I understand that truth exposed. I get it. And I've known you for a while and I've heard you speak, I've had you on my panels, I've seen you in other panels, and I get you. I understand you. You have a strong personality about a lot of things. You're very knowledgeable on things. And most people, I don't know if you've ever been told this, but if they're not of that strength and character, then they might feel intimidated by that. You know what I mean? So they try to overpower with power, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It. I don't have to do that because I understand people. I learned to read people based on what their strengths and weaknesses are. Sometimes I misread people, but I'm reading words. I'm reading thought. Just like somebody said um, earlier about something about I don't know grammar or something. I don't know, whatever. But as far as bullying, I believe that emotional bullying is one of the areas that as humans we can work on. We should work on that. And if that's not something you do or something that you accept, I'm glad you don't. If you know people that do accept that or they don't know how to deal with that, then maybe you should help them out a little bit because you know um it's never a good feeling to be a doormat. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not okay to be a doormat. It's not okay to be aggressive all the time. And I'm not saying that to anybody in chat. I'm just saying that generally. Because aggressive people tend to push people away for a reason. They call that anger as control, meaning that if I portray an angry face towards you, that's going to keep you from getting too close to me. That's going to get me from having to deal with you if I don't want to really deal with you that much. Because I'm going to control you by my anger, and that's manipulative. That's unhealthy. Anger as control is an ugly thing. And that's part of bullying, you know, gaslighting, all those awful things that people do to people, you know. And we don't have to have conversation. That's the thing that I don't understand sometimes. If you're in a chat or you're discussing something with somebody in real life, because real life is more important than these chats. I hate to break it to you, but they really are. Real life conversations, if you're having a conversation with somebody and you're not feeling like you're getting your point across, it's okay to say, "Okay, I'm going to leave it right here. I don't have to call you out your name. I don't have to talk about this situation any longer. You've taken up a lot of my time about it, this and that and the other, and you can walk away. You can walk away. You can hand pick who you give that much energy to, if that makes sense. You can say, I'm hanging on to my peace of mind. I'm not going to get into an emotional battle with you. If you think you're right, okay, I'm going to let you be right. I don't have to think that I'm wrong. We just can't get to common ground on this topic. Let's move on. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like that, Jeff. Love your enemies. It ain't easy, but it helps bring even the unlikely people together. That's exactly true. Because we all come from different environments, and that's what's so interesting in this platform is we run into people with different cultures, personalities, assertiveness, aggressiveness, temperament, mental health issues. We run into people with boundary issues. We run with people with anger issues. We run with people that have been hurt by men, that have been hurt by women. That we run into a different type of people. We don't have to put them in their place. We have to keep ourselves safe from ourselves sometimes. Sometimes the safest thing we can do is just keep our mouth shut and walk away. But some people aren't born like that. Some people aren't raised like that. Some people are not that type of person. You can say, please don't talk to me that way. Don't address me like that. But to an aggressive person who has no boundaries whatsoever, they're gonna try to walk right all over you. You're expelling so much energy on that it's gonna just drain you. What are you talking about? I don't know. I'm not reading the chat right now, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Oh, okay. You're right, Leon. You don't have to attend every fight you're invited to. I like that. That's true. You don't. We answer to what we're called. Just because we're called something doesn't mean that we have to answer that phone call. It's interesting to me that we call ourselves adults. Then why so much name calling? Why so much attacking? What makes us believe in our mind that we are right about everything and we can't meet people on common ground to have a healthy discussion? We must battle to show them that they're wrong and we're right. You know, like I said in a stream the other night, and I'm not usually talking about true crime on this Serenity stream because it's not about true crime. It's about healing, not continuing to gash out things. What I said in that is we have to be careful what we say about certain things because our words have consequences. Our words have consequences. And it might be right now or it might be weeks from now, years from now, whatever. Our words have consequences. We can't say something and then when we're called upon it, then deny that it was said. I'm not talking to any of you in chat tonight as far as what I'm saying. I'm trying to keep this on the Serenity Sunday, which if you've never been in one of these, it's kind of calm. It's really low key. We don't talk true crime. We don't talk other cases. We don't talk other creators. We don't talk any of that. We talk about healthy coping skills to get through life and the issues that we deal with every day. You know, mental health issues are hard to address on panels because unless someone's a professional, they're really not going to know how to deal with them. And if they're triggering you by what they say on their panels, it's hard for them to understand your point if they're not a professional in any shape, form of the word. If they've never been exposed to any kind of dealing with issues such as that, most of them will continue to brush it off because they don't know how to deal with that. I hate that you've had to deal with that, because severe PTSD, as I was saying earlier, is awful. It really is. It really is. PTSD, you could be triggered by anything. It could be somebody's look, somebody's smirk, somebody's sarcasm. It could be anything. And people don't understand that because they believe that if you react to something that they've said as their words, they call names to your trauma. And that is that is unfair to people that deal with these things. You know, it's sad that we would not invest in somebody else as much as we claim to invest in ourselves. You know, I've always heard people say how much they care about themselves, how much they love themselves, and how much they challenge other people. But if you look at those type of individuals, you can tell they really don't have that much love for themselves because they're trying so hard to be unlovable to keep people at a distance. And you can say that's mumbo jumbo, psychobabble crap. I'll call you. I'll call you every day of the week that is not what that is. You know. If you have to prove to yourself as an adult that your mouth is your biggest attribute, or that your threats, or your anger, or your your ways of dealing with other people is violent or aggressive, that should tell you all that you need to know when you listen to these people talk about true crime, especially if they're talking about certain crimes where they believe that a person could no way do this, but yet they have the aggressiveness to prove otherwise. If their word don't match their action, then you know what? They're lying to you. You know? Jeff, you want to come up for a little bit? Anybody want to come up? Jeff, Rondi, you want to come up? Because this stream is about serenity. It's about keeping people, giving people a safe place to land. I say that all the time. I say that all the time. Giving people a safe place to land. No, I didn't see what you saw, Texas. You know, Toes, you want to come up? You know, want a positive person to bounce stuff off of. As far as dealing with humans and dealing with people, we have to be careful how far we take things. Like I said, nobody likes a bully. Nobody likes a bully. I just don't understand. I've seen in other chats and I've seen in other streams that there's some heated stuff that goes on in these chats. I mean, there's creators, that do their thing and whatever. But I would believe that if we're all working for serenity in this world, why are we fighting so much? You know, why are we fighting so much? That's cool, Toes. Just let me know. You know, it saddens me to come back to Texas because I used to think that Texans were friendly people. And I see otherwise now. I really do. And I'm not speaking for all Texans because I've lived here for a long time. There's still good people here. But it's different when you go to Louisiana, to Mississippi, to Alabama, even to Florida, the tip of Florida, Georgia. It's almost like they still live by the old ways, and it's awesome to see. I never heard thank you and you're welcome and just friendly conversations out of nowhere, you know, in a long time. I don't know if any of you are from those areas, but if you are, then you probably understand what I'm talking about. It's refreshing that it still exists. It's refreshing that it still exists. I like that. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even Florida. Yeah, Alabama. I love that state, man. Like, I have one of my family members talking about wanting to go to college there since she loved it so much. It's an awesome state. Like, their food is amazing. Yes, I've been to Arkansas. I've been to Arkansas. There's some friendly people there as well. It's just different. It's just different. It's almost like you enjoy the slower pace of life and you're okay with that. It's like you don't have to disrespect people. I don't know how it became okay to get to that point, you know? Jeff, let me send it to your Facebook. Hold on a second. Yeah, Birmingham, Biloxi, Foley, all of those areas, man. It's just like the whole state. It just it's just amazing that the people still have that smile on their face when they're talking to you. They still have that belief that life is good and that you're just not a dollar sign. That is so amazing for me to see that you're just not a dollar sign. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't live in the state 24/7. Could be wrong. But you know what I did enjoy seeing, I enjoyed it. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Foley, but they have this place called Lambert's, the home of the tossing rolls. Jeff, I sent it to your email. Um, they have a place called Lambert's, home of the tossing rolls, and they say in that place you will not leave hungry. Let me tell you, let me tell you a little bit about that place if you've never been there. Okay, get this. This place you walk in is it's home style cooking. You can order on the menu, right? But before you order, they come to your table like the first round. This lady came with some okra. She's like, "Would you like a scoop of okra?" And we're like, "Yeah." And we were like, "Okay, yeah, sure, why not?" So we got some okra while we ordered our food. We were waiting, and then our food came. And then out of nowhere, this guy starts yelling, "Rolls, hot rolls!" And I told one of my family, I said, "Hey, raise your hand. I'll throw it to you." And he raised his hand, and they tossed him the roll. He was like, "Wow, that's awesome." You know, and then here came another person. Would you like some apple butter with that, or some honey butter? So I got the apple butter, and I was like, "Man, this is some amazing stuff." Because I'm all about food, right? Hey, Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, bro. And and while we were sitting there, I got a hamburger steak, I got mashed potatoes, brown gravy, green beans. Well, while I was waiting, while we were eating, here comes this other person with fried potatoes with onions, and he gives me a big old scoop of it. I'm like, bro, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to eat all this stuff. And they brought a big old canister of I got Dr. Pepper. Most places give you a little bitty cup, right? This place brought you a big old cup of, like those big old cups you get in the convenience stores, that you can continue and fill them up for free or whatever.
Super
Those
big
kind
gulp.
of, yeah, kind of like that. They brought one of those, and it was full of Dr. Pepper. And I was like, bro, we had to get the food to go. It was so much food. I don't know if you're ever in Foley and you're in that area, check that restaurant out. Check that restaurant out. It is amazing. It is amazing.
What's it called again?
It's called Lambert's,
Lambert's. Okay.
home of the throwing rolls.
That was, I remember my aunt. I think my mom shared a story when she first met my aunt. This is her brother's wife. It
Yeah.
was like the first Thanksgiving they had. Her name's Amy, and my mom asked Amy for a roll, and Amy chucked it across the table. And my
Yeah.
mom knew at that moment, like, that is the coolest person right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, they were literally doing that, and these rolls came right out of the oven, so they were piping hot. You catch them, you're like, oh,
They're like hot
you're,
potato, hot potato.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, man, I'm sorry I missed you in Louisiana, bro. How was Bourbon Street?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
enjoy
it was
it?
cool. Yeah, we did just one night because we were working so hard. I was like I said, we were 15,000 steps a day just
Yeah,
shooting video. But the thing was, 15,000 steps a day shooting video of the wheelchair games of the paralyzed veterans of America. So 15,000 steps. I mean, I'm thankful I have legs to take
right,
steps. So I didn't complain. I was thankful every
right,
day and thought about
right,
that every day. You know, 10-minute walk from the hotel in the heat, carrying pulling my camera equipment.
right,
Um, Still see these guys doing amazing things. But Bourbon Street was cool. Every single block there was a great band, and you just walk right in. Now I don't drink at all, but from what the guys I was with, you just walk down that street with a drink. You walk right
Yeah,
in with a drink
yeah,
into another establishment.
yeah.
Um,
I took my family down there. I took the kids down there, and they were just their eyes were bigger than anything. You know, they'd never seen anything like that in the world. I took them to Cafe Du Monde in Jackson Square. We got the beignets, you know, and did the whole tourist thing, and it was pretty awesome, man. We spent like 4 hours that day in Louisiana. Then we headed on to Alabama.
yeah, it was a cool place. We saw probably four bands. The fourth band we just stopped. We stayed there. They played Journey. They played Hotel California. They played all kinds of. Now we won't. You're not going to get blocked if I mention the band names. Are you? We don't want to mess with
No, I
music.
hope not, man. I hope not.
But all these, man, they were taking requests. So um, man, it was
Yeah,
awesome. They played Spin Doctors, uh, and really good versions. I mean, I couldn't believe this band was not. This is a band I would have paid like $40-$50 to see. They were that
yeah,
good.
exactly. You have to watch yourself. Like I was walking on the sidewalk, and they're so small, and the doors swing out of all directions, right? Well, this guy, he was coming out, and he worked at this restaurant, and he acted like he was falling, right? So I wasn't falling for that. You know, he was reaching on me and everything. I did
Mm,
the whole elbow thing, you know, keeping him at a distance. Not saying he was trying to, grab it, my wallet or anything, but I've had that happen to me before. So you got to be
right,
you got to be kind of mindful of that if you go down there to Bourbon Street or Louisiana, in the Jackson Square area. You got to be mindful. People play games. This guy was asking, "Hey, I bet I can guess your shoes where you bought them, this and that and the other." And you know what? You can play that game, and then they'll want a tip.
right, right.
They'll
That's like
want a
in
tip.
Times Square up in New York. We didn't realize, and everybody's dressed in costumes. There's like Pikachu, and you get a picture with them, and then they give you a card like that says, now you owe us for the picture. Thinking like it's
Right,
on my
exactly.
phone. I use my phone to take.
Right, right. Well, what do you think about what I've been talking about, Jeff? You agree with anything that I've talked about tonight as far as the serenity part of, as far as emotional, spiritual,
Yeah,
mental?
yeah. No, I'm so glad you did this because I was thinking about it, texting you this like all day. I was like, "Are you going to do your Serenity thing?" And I didn't see anything earlier. I thought, "Oh, maybe he's not doing it," but that's cool. It doesn't matter what time, you know, you can still find serenity.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, you always have great thoughts, great advice. The thing is, the stuff you're sharing, it's coming out of you, and it's obviously in you because we all see it anyway, even without you mentioning it. I always think about like it's like we're sponges. Whatever is
right,
inside of us and we've put inside of us over time, when we get squeezed, that's what comes out of us.
right,
Or
right,
not even when we're squeezed, just it's just the goodness that comes out of you is and it's hard to maintain that serene attitude with the way life can be sometimes. I mean, I don't fault people that don't seem like they've got much serenity.
right,
They're looking for it, they need it. Those are the ones that need it the most, probably. And that's why I always think, it's like I said, that love your enemies is not an easy notion. But man, sometimes there's been times where it's like some hateful person, you just try to love them and trying to just stay in that place, and then eventually things can change, and before you know it, you're having deep conversations, and they're like, man, this is why I am the way I am. I'm sorry I mistreated you that way. And it's like,
right.
it's
And
okay, man.
another thing, Jeff, is I think as humans, we don't realize that we could be the last of the line of a long journey of anger. You know what I mean? Like that anger could have started 2 weeks ago. And this person has carried that for 2 weeks straight.
Right.
And we're the breaking point. We're the last one in line. And, they have enough and they just let us have it. And it could be over anything, you know? Always tell my clients, I say, getting angry at somebody is like You swallowing poison expecting them to die.
Right. Right.
You know, it's like you swallow that poison expecting the other person to die. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I used to know somebody that we used to another guy that I know. We used to complain about this guy and the way he was, and his work related. And I would every now and then I'd come to the conclusion and think, we're sitting here talking about him. We're getting all worked up. We're angry about something that happened in a moment. He's not thinking about it at all. He had that moment. He's going on with his life. Here we are. We talking about it for an hour. It's like, what a waste of time.
Right,
That
right.
is.
I mean, and the beauty of being a human is we're all unique in our own ways. We're not carbon copies of each other. That's the beauty of it. You know, as long as we're not being harmful to another, there's nothing wrong with being different.
Right.
Some of the most beautiful minds I've ever seen and beautiful hearts come from those that are not like anybody else. And when I say that, I mean that physically they're disabled, mentally they're disabled, but they have the most
Mhm.
beautiful souls. I
Right.
used to work in a mentally um, MR MHMR facility, and I worked in the infirmary. I mean, I fell in love with some of my clients that because they were stronger, just like what you said as far as the wheelchair people that were in the basketball game. Their love for life was not based on their circumstance.
Right.
And
Right.
the fact that they were not up and able to walk around, but they would see that you'd walk in and their face would just light up, or they'd hug you and they'd mouth thank you, or the best that they could do, and and it just made you feel like an asshole. Excuse my language. It made me feel like that, bro, because 5 minutes earlier, I would be complaining about something, or, I would be complaining about not making enough money or this or that and the other. And here somebody else has something physically and mentally wrong with them, and they see the beauty in life.
Right. Right.
How it just makes you feel totally this small. It made me feel that small, bro. Not that they were trying to, but you know what? I myself challenged myself to humble myself to that point, because in reality, that's what life is right there. That's the beauty of life. To
Yeah.
get to that point where you love yourself and life and others without all the BS in between.
Yeah. I knew
Without
a guy who he had a stroke early on. Wonderful soul, great guy named Scott. He he had a stroke. He also had lupus. He was dealing with lupus, and worked with him. I even took a road trip all the way to Chicago with him. He had a stuttering issue, and it used to bug me because people would not be patient with him. He'd be trying to say something, and they try to fill in what he's trying to say because they just don't want to just take the time. Just let him talk. Just be patient, slow down. But I remember he used to say, and this is how he said it. I'm not making fun of the way he said it. It's just this is how he would say it. But he would say, and he'd always start sentences with, my feeling is, and he'd say, my feeling is, life is too short. And he'd always have the biggest smile, the greatest attitude. His laugh would just be like, I mean, he would roll with laughter. I'd love to make him laugh. Um, one time, if I can share a short story with you, he was
you're
working.
fine.
We were working on election coverage, and he was working at the keyboard next to me, putting the words on the screen for the character generator. All of a sudden, he drops into his keyboard, and I thought, Scott, what's wrong? I thought he like passed out or something.
Right,
I
right.
know he's got a lot of medical issues and stuff, but
Right.
he comes up from his keyboard and he says, my feeling is shift P. And so he only had one hand that really worked, so the other was kind of
Right.
numb, right? So he'd hit shift and the P is way over there, so he'd use his nose to hit the P. Man, that was when I was rolling with laughter. I mean, that was
Right, right. I mean, it makes you feel that small, how big we make our problems.
right.
You know how big we make issues in life. Like, is it really gonna matter in a year from now, in 5 years from now? Is it really gonna be that important? Hey Carl, how you doing, buddy? And everybody else who's came into the chat, I haven't had a chance to say hello, but thank you for stopping in and saying hello. I'm glad you are all here and enjoying the stream tonight. I have Jeff H on my panel. If y'all don't know Jeff, y'all say hello to Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
He's been a regular on the panel. But Jeff, that is amazing to me. Like even elderly people. I've worked in a nursing home before. And elderly people, I mean, I can't imagine laying in bed all day and not having any visitors, and then you see somebody who take care of you, and you can really tell that they care, that you're clean, and that you smell good, and your clothes have been changed and stuff, and they just love you.
Hmm.
They love you unconditionally.
We take so much for granted that
Yes.
and then yeah, it's a shame. I don't want to get to that point where I'm in that position and feeling like, oh my gosh, I took so much for granted. I missed opportunities of worried about stuff that really wasn't to be worried about. I mean, I always try to think that I've survived or managed to survive everything that I've encountered up until this day in this moment right now. Why not think that anything that comes tomorrow or the next day, it's not going to be any different. We got this. We can. You somehow you make it. Somehow you survive. And it's like it's nice to look back on situations and think, okay, I didn't freak out. Thankfully, that was good. I handled that situation and probably handled it better because I didn't freak out. Didn't worry
Yeah.
too much. My grandmother used to always say, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." But she, coming from somebody older, is looking at you saying, hearing what your problem is like, don't worry about that.
Right, right. You know, another thing I used to always say, I used to say ego is an acronym for edging God out. When our ego takes the place, we're edging God out.
Mm,
And, you know, I have a big ego most of the time, and most of the day, my ego is running things. And I hate to admit that, but it's the truth. That's an ugly thing to think about for myself to admit, but it's true. I have a big ego, and I go around this world like I don't know. Sometimes I don't like myself for the ego problem that I have. You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I'm not ashamed to admit it. Sometimes my ego gets the best of me, man.
yeah, I think I can read that.
Nanook agrees, and Nanook agrees.
Nanook, shh, shh, Nanook. Sorry, the
Nanook
dog is
approves.
is trying to play with the cat, and the cat just doesn't want to play.
Right, right. I mean, I'm not talking about being egotistical all the time. I'm talking about like when I should show grace. That's not always the first thing that I think about. When I should show kindness, that's not normal, and I hate a lot of times that isn't the first thing that should come is grace and kindness. Those two things
Right.
should be easily given right off the bat. And even in my chat, sometimes like I was talking about burnout and stuff like that, I have been rude to people, and I hate that about what I've done to people in the chat. Whether others feel they deserved it or not, being rude to somebody just because they don't agree with you, that's a bully move. That's an asshole move. Excuse my language, but you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
it's kind of like there's still a child in us, that is that kid that we were. It's just like when I play guitar. When I get up on stage, if I get nervous, the only things that come to my mind are the things that I knew solidly when I was like in high school. It's like that
Right.
old information and old ways is still like right there, ready to go, ready to pull up. And I'm sure, we kind of just fall in. Shoot, just yesterday I was, kind of having an ego argument with my wife, and I should have. It took me a while to just apologize and say, you know what, that was me. I didn't need to handle it that way. But in the moment, I thought I'm right. I have a point here. This is you
Yeah.
should see it my way. Why don't you see it my way? And thinking back, or
And
not thinking back, but
have
potentially
you
thinking.
gotten to a point, Jeff, that you've realized what that's about? Because grace, like you always say, you have your own saying, and you've said it multiple times. And that the one word that I get from that saying is grace. You know,
And
you
what
ever
when you
want
say grace, how do you define grace? What's
well,
your
grace to me would be like showing somebody the same respect, the same tone, the same um, ability to get their point across, like you're asking them to give you. You know
Isn't it
that.
also sometimes, I think I hear it defined sometimes as like merit or kindness that you might not feel they deserve at the time, but it's
Right.
what you're giving. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
you're you're going above what you probably feel is like in that argument with my wife. I felt justified, and I love to debate and talk and
Yeah.
figure out puzzles and mysteries and music. So it's just the way my mind is wired. So it's like when she sings things one way and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't see it that way. And then and I'm always on YouTube saying, that Bible verse, a soft answer turns away wrath. And when I witness myself not following my own advice, I'm like, what are you, an idiot, Jeff? Come on. It's like, but it does, but the moment that I like pull that back in and I think about things like that, it's like soft answer
Yeah.
turns away wrath. Soft answer, no answer turns away even more wrath. So just shut up, Jeff. Be quiet. Let her
Right.
talk.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about as far as ego. Sometimes silence buys a lot more kindness
Yeah.
than lashing out or just speaking negatively. Silence buys a lot more kindness. There's a word.
Mhm.
There's a statement there.
That's a bumper sticker right there.
Yeah, that's a bumper sticker. That's a T-shirt. You know,
Yeah, I
silence.
even found like in the time we were talking that I was twice I misunderstood what she said and then almost added fuel to the fire to make it even bigger. It's like there's another issue because I misunderstood what she's. Oh my gosh. I would have been, had I lost my tongue that morning, I would have had a better moment in time then.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's a work in progress. Sometimes, like you said, it's a reenactment of something that we have held on to for a long time, and it's kind of like our ace key, our ace card that trumps everything else. It's like, okay, I'm gonna hang on to this card until I feel that I need it, and then when I'm backed in the corner, I'm gonna pull it out, and that's gonna win everything. Doesn't always happen though, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah,
I like this person. I changed my name again at the place. Document it. I don't quite understand the name, but
right.
I like this person. I know they don't like me, but that's cool. I've been here before. There've been many
Yeah,
people that don't like me, and now I'm guest on their shows, and it's a cool thing. Like I've always said, even back to like Detective John days, your enemy today can be your friend tomorrow. Leave the door open to that. I see no reason to close that door. I have great friendships that started out rocky. Um, you know, even those people that come at you harsh, they have friends, so there must be some
right.
redeemable, likable quality. You just, you know, so
That's interesting. You brought Detective John up because that's where I met you at. I got
Mhm.
my panel 10 minutes of fame, if you will, on Detective John. But he had such a different array of people on his panel, and And I appreciate that he gave me that shot because it kind of gave me the push to get my own channel, and to give it a little more insight,
Hmm.
But kindness does turn away wrath. I like that statement. I like that statement.
Yeah, it's I mean, you can. I think most people, if they don't really give too much thought about it, they just end up mimicking what they see around them, and you just end up being a person that is just like everybody else around you. And I never thought that I would have stepped into a church before I got invited to step into a church. It was my neighbor who was a pastor at a local church. I knew him for a year before he even told me he was a pastor. We just kind of wave, good morning, how you doing? Didn't really know too much about him. And then one day helped me with my car starting. My battery was dead. Next thing I know, I'm being invited to church, and I'm thinking, oh geez, I don't, I've never been a church goer. We might have
Right,
gone on Christmas or Easter. um Even had a kind of a weird experience when I was a kid, where I went with a friend of mine, to church. The next day there were people knocking on my door saying, hey, Jeff was at our church. And my mom was I saw how freaked out she was, and was like, we're not interested, close the door. um
right,
but yeah, man. So then to do something, go that route, think differently, learn things about how to deal with life, and deal with whatever. um I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. Some amazing things have happened as a result. Just, you know I know not everybody feels the same way about the subject, but I think it's a cool thing because it like leaves it open for each person to just personally investigate that if they're interested. See what you find. We don't all find the same things even when we go down that investigative route. um but I'm very happy with everything that I found along that path. I
right,
wouldn't change a
exactly.
thing.
Well, I changed my name again at the police document it. I don't know who you used to be, but you said, with that being said, more word salad and gaslighting kindness. Has anybody been kind to me? Oh my. I want to say something to that, and I'm going to be kind when I say it. Whether you take it as kind, it's not my, it's not my, what's the word? It's not my intent, whether you take it kind or not. It's not my, it's not up to me whether you take it kindly or not. And I'm going to say this again. Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to be mean to you. All right, I'm not. Sometimes kindness comes in a different way than your definition is. You know, a person's kindness comes from the way that they know how to be kind. We have 5 ways of love languages. Not everybody loves the same, not everybody is kind the same. So sometimes being kind is not necessarily being gaslighting. You know, um, their kindness or lack of attention to you would not be gaslighting. It would be merely just trying to understand your position in what you're trying to get across. Because I can, like I say in my chats, everybody's opinion is valid, but I don't believe anybody in here has any intent on gaslighting anyone because I've never seen it. I believe that most people in here they have the perception that they want to be kind to people. They want, you know, they want to be able to let people know that they're not alone. And that's all I really have to say about that. And I hope that everything turns around for you. I really do. I really do.
Definitely, definitely.
Because nobody deserves to feel alone. Nobody deserves to feel alone. And
There's something in the good book says that it basically says if you do all that you do without love, you're pretty much just a worthless clanging cymbal. I think I'm kind of saying it in my own way, but I think that's what the verse says. But I don't know. When I saw that, I thought that just kind of shows the importance, at least I think, to always have some love in all that you do. It says it right there. So I try, try my best. never perfect at anything, but um, just the fact that that is in my mind, that I've thought about it, I've heard it in many sermons. It's really just
Right.
something to it's not a bad goal. Like in everything you do, have an element of love for whoever it is you're dealing with. What I'm gonna admit my stupidity, because there have been many times that people tell me what the word gaslighting means. I'll understand it for a moment, and then when it's brought up, I think, okay, wait, what does gaslighting mean again? Maybe you can give me a good definition, something that will stick in my memory so I understand it. Because I think that the words itself, gas and lighting, maybe if you can give me some visual that connects to the actual words themselves. Is that like a lamp
Well,
that you're lighting or something?
here's the way I interpret it. No expert by no means. That's on my scope. But as far as what I've heard in the past, a gaslighter is a person that sits there and turns the issues that's going on. Everything is put on the other person. They make themselves a victim to the other person's circumstance. It's kind of like my dinner is cold, and my dinner wouldn't have been cold if you would have called me 5 minutes earlier. So it's your fault my dinner is cold. You know what I mean?
So it's kind
So
of like my problem is your fault. Is that
yeah, it's kind of like you add up all these problems until you get to the point where your emotional control over them, they feel like they can never do anything right. So they become a shell of who they are based on their perception of what kind of control they're being that someone has over them. It's kind of like, if you're trying to leave a toxic relationship, the person can all of a sudden tell you, no, 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 don't go, don't go. I love you, this, that, and the other. And then it brings down your wall, and then they start blaming you for their place in life. Then all of a sudden you get back to that control from the other person. Does that make sense?
you know
No?
what? I'm still not getting it completely. You try
Okay.
gaslighting me on something. Just let's
Okay.
pretend
Okay. Um,
you're not a gaslighter, because it obviously doesn't come easy, right?
no, I mean, it's kind of like this. It's like, you say, 12 gauge, you know what? You said that you weren't going to be on tonight, and here you are on. Did you lie to me? And then I say, well, you know what, Jeff? It's really not my problem whether you have anything to say over whether I'm on or not. I can do what I want. And then you say, but you were adamant, and you even asked me to hold you accountable if you want if you wanted to go on. And I say, well, Jeff, you know what? It's not your problem. You're making it your problem right now. So I'm putting all the blame on you rather than holding any accountability on me. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Here's Sarah give us an example. Let's see what she has to say. Hi, Sarah. How you doing? She says gaslighting to me is when someone keeps antagonizing your weak points and belittle you by saying things that trigger your emotional side that hold scars.
Hmm.
Okay.
So is it kind of like, I mean, the reason the term is gaslighting, is it almost like if you have one of those old fashioned lamps and you don't want someone to light it, but they keep trying to, and they eventually, their goal is to light your lamp, or set it aflame when you're trying to not, it's all them. They're trying to get your lamp lit. Is that,
Okay. Let's see what Truth Exposed. She said something else as well. I mean, these definitions are right on point. Gaslighting is when they blatantly do something wrong, you call them out on it, and they try to flip it around on you like it's your fault.
hmm.
I don't know. It's very malicious, and it's very very harmful. But usually, um, a gaslighting event would be something like you take no accountability. Like you tell your wife, you know what? If you'd stop nagging all the time, maybe I wouldn't debate you on so much stuff. Maybe I'd let you win. But then the next time she takes you on your word, you turn on her and you debate her again. And she's like, "Well, I thought you said you weren't going to debate." Well, here you are talking about the same thing we talked about last time. How do you expect me to act? It's playing, it's it's messing with somebody's emotions all the time. It's keeping them off balance. Like if you notice that they're in a bad mood and you're really in a bad mood, but you're going to act happy to try to piss them off because they're angry. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And if they're happy, then you're really happy, but you're going to turn your mood around to be angry or disgruntled or annoyed just to make their mood change. I don't know.
I
That's
you
the
know
best I got for you. That's the best I got for you. I'm off the clock till Wednesday, Jeff. Maybe by Wednesday I can get you a better definition. I really,
I don't know what it is about that word and the I mean I think I kind of get it, but I if you said, okay, Jeff, now it's your turn to teach everybody what gaslighting means, I'd be like, wait, give me another day. So is that Michelle that's I changed my name again at
I think
Let's
so. I think
document it?
so. She said saying things like, "Oh, that girl Michelle, she is mentally ill after knowing what you've done over and over and over and over, violating boundaries and telling a whole community she is crazy."
I remember, the one time, I've heard people say things like that regarding her, but there was one time where I was on with her. I don't think I was on with her. I was chatting with her, and actually, we had at that moment had a nice conversation about God. She was actually in that that zone, and we were discussing it. So I remember then when I hear things like that from people, it's like, wait, I don't understand. That doesn't sound like the same person that I was talking to the other time. And then I tune into one of her lives, and I think, oh wow, okay, she's very angry about something now. So maybe okay, that's
Well,
that's
if this
different.
is Michelle, I don't know who you are. I've never heard you. I've never seen you. I've never had any interaction with you whatsoever. So, I mean, if you get something out of my streams, I'm glad that you do. But this is not therapy. This is merely meant to give suggestive life skills to people if they want to try something different or if they know somebody is battling with something, they could try something different for them. This is not counseling. I would suggest that if your mental health is that damaged, or if you feel that somebody in your life is that damaged, that you call 911 or try to get them some emotional help through a professional or online. That's the only way that you're really going to get any kind of help that you might need, because on here on YouTube, you're not going to find it. You're not going to get it because even therapy counseling is one on one in person. It's not done over Zoom, it's not done over a computer screen. So you could never get the same kind of desired result, So
I think too
that's all I
focusing too much on what other people think or say. I mean, it's advice that I give my daughter. It's like, again, back to when I was a kid, we always said sticks and stones may break my bones, but words
Good
can
night,
never hurt
Aquarius.
me. And
Yeah.
I always tell my daughter, it's like, don't focus so much on what people say or think. I mean, they're going to do it. And the thing is if you show them that they're getting to you, they just might be the type of people that say, haha, it's like having a fish on the line. Now they're going to do more. Now they're going to reel you in. Before you know it, they are just like, um, just being malicious. And
Yeah.
what's another word for just not
I
stopping?
mean, like what we've been talking about, to keep this in a positive light, because I don't want this to go negative in any sort fashion, because it's about serenity.
Right.
And, we're speaking general here. We're not really speaking directly to anyone. I'm not gaslighting anybody, so I'm not thinking Jeff is,
Jeff
so
definitely isn't because he don't even know what the word means.
right. But I mean, what I'm saying is this is, we're not gaslighting anyone. We're not gaslighting anyone. And if you feel that we are, maybe the best thing to do would be to sign out of this chat and go somewhere else that makes you feel a little better. That would be my suggestion to you. So that's all I can say. And in other words, about some of the things that we've been talking about, Jeff, I have noticed that there have been people changing as far as people do change. People do change.
Hmm.
I've seen people at their worst and I've seen them get better. And we're talking about grace, right? Usually when, someone is the most unlovable, you got to show them the most love. And that is a hard thing to do. That is a hard thing to do, you know? And, you know, whenever someone is showing you, I don't need your love. I don't need your kindness. I don't need this. I don't need that. Well, you can do one or two things. You can continue giving that from a distance, or you can walk away. You know, yeah, you're right. Hey, Heather, how are you doing? People do adapt. People do adapt. I mean, people overcome obstacles in life that are challenging to them. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Good to see you, Heather.
Hey, Alex, how are you? You know, whenever individuals, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be in real life, because I don't know what people go through in real life, I don't claim to know. And but I do understand that the world is it's very territorial. I know that about humans, right? Humans are territorial. We're very territorial to people who act like us, who talk like us, who believe like us. And sometimes, without knowing it, we we don't show the grace to people that we should sometimes. And that's all I got to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's cool that you do this every, Sunday. That this is I like a reset button for the week, right? It's probably a lot of people, you know, do things on a Sunday to reset, to focus on things that because it's like within a just a within a day we can go off course from where we intended to be, but a week we're it's guaranteed probably there are going to be times where it's like, oh man, I wish I'd have done that differently or that differently. So I think this
Right.
is really cool.
I mean, I thought it would be something different than the true crime stuff because I know people have to get tired of the blood and gore and everything that goes along with the true crime community because you know it does get monotonous sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes on Sundays we need to really recollect, refocus, give our heart a break, give our minds a break.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I know. I love to find like books that are full of like wise quotes. I have a bunch of them just around, and I love to just flip through those. I mean, um, it's like deeper thinking than just on the surface. On the surface, you hear something, you react to it, boom's done. But the deeper stuff is like really, it's like I see it as like little nuggets. Like I'm going to remember this. I can use this on a daily basis. This is good stuff right here.
but let me ask you something too, Jeff. Like, let's say that you were looking to join a gym, and there was two
You
trainers.
call me fat?
No, no, and there were two trainers. Okay, one was a little chubby and overweight, and one was ripped like a Adonis. Okay, and the guy that was a little chubby and overweight had the best business skill, you know, and the other guy wasn't so business savvy, but he had the more nutritional value, all this stuff. Which guy would you choose to take your nutritional advice from.
So the bigger guy is more business savvy, but the other guy, what was the trait of the other
The
guy?
slightly overweight guy was had the great spill. He had the great used car salesman type pitch about why going with him. The other guy just broke it down to you. Well, with me, you're going to eat better. You're going to get healthier. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. I can get you in shape. I can get you to the place that you want to get to, work with you, and this and that and the other. He wasn't a showman, but he has results.
Hmm.
Which one would you choose?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine, of course, you visually you think, okay, the guy that's in shape, he's practicing what he preaches, whereas maybe the other guy you might question. But for me, if I was standing in the gym and I have these two guys talking to me, if I look out the window of the gym outside, can I see a Dunkin' Donuts anywhere in the vicinity? Because if that's the case, I probably would have walked out anyway. So
Okay. Well, my point in giving you that scenario is this: when it comes to somebody speaking something, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be just in general, you're going to be more apt to follow someone who is living what they're talking about.
yeah,
Correct?
that's true.
So if somebody is telling you, hey, don't be angry, don't be frustrated, don't be this, don't be that, but yet every time you see them, they are exactly everything that they're telling you not to be, what makes you want to follow that?
Right. It's like going to somebody who's been divorced 3 times asking for marriage advice.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, it's I think there was a radio commercial I used to hear. It's like when you ask this person something, they tell you this because that's what they know. When you ask this person something, they'll tell you this because that's what they know. That's what they know and that's what they live. So yeah, I mean, consider the source, I guess is another way of putting it too. It's like, again, the sponge thing. What's inside you is what comes out of your mouth.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, Sarah, before my week off and then the vacation, I'll be honest, I was really getting burnt out on the whole true crime stuff. But I can't stop talking about it because that's what my job is and that's what my degree's in. So I just I decided to do what's best for me as far as just distancing myself from certain things that were bringing me down, if that makes sense. I'm in a better state. Thank you. Thank you. Is Dunkin' Donuts really good? I hear that you talk about that a lot. I ate Voodoo Donuts down in um where was I? San Antonio. Anybody ever been to San Antonio? Y'all know what Voodoo Donuts are?
Oh, I saw your
Anybody
picture.
ever had Voodoo Donuts?
They look wild.
Voodoo Donuts are amazing. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you. The donut is that big around, Jeff, and that thick.
Huh.
Bro, it's almost the cake.
Yeah,
It is
I've seen a place where they put like they have ones where they put breakfast cereal on top of the donut and they have I mean just all kinds of like creative
yeah.
concoctions. But yeah, they're tall. You have to eat them with a
Yeah.
fork and knife.
Okay, Rondi, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, those things are it shot my blood sugar through the roof, I'm sure, but you need to stay away from Dunkin' Donut, Jeff.
Well, I mainly go there for the I get a cup of coffee. I always get like
No, no, no,
maybe
no.
one
Stop, stop, stop.
am I
You
justifying?
could say 12 gauge. I appreciate your thoughts and concerns, but I love Dunkin' Donuts. That's it. It's
Yeah,
okay to say that.
yeah.
Just like that.
But I can agree with you too. I mean, I can know I'm partaking in something that I probably shouldn't be. Like I had a friend used to always say, if you don't want a haircut, don't go anywhere near a barber. If you know you
Yeah.
shouldn't have a donut, just don't go anywhere near there.
I think that if I ever had a Dunkin' Donuts coffee, I'd probably be hooked because I'm a coffee drinker, okay? And I had Dutch Brothers coffee the other day. I've never had it
Hmm.
before. Have you ever had that?
No, no.
That's the same kind of coffee that Kaylee was working at that Dutch Brothers in Moscow, or yeah,
Oh, really?
she was
Oh, okay.
working at a Dutch Brothers. Well, anyways, I had that coffee. I had a large. I was hearing colors, Jeff. I was hearing colors, bro.
You were hearing colors. What did
I
orange
was
sound like?
I was sitting there at the stop sign waiting for it to turn green. It was so good. Like I mean, I don't know what they put in that coffee, but
Yeah, I think
Starbucks has nothing on them. Dunkin' Donuts, I've heard, had some good coffee. I've tried their coffee in the little
look at that.
bottles that they sell in the convenience stores.
I just reached
Okay.
into my recycling bin that's under my desk here. I just reached in there without even look. I knew there would be one probably near the top, and there was.
Oh my god.
That's like an alcoholic, finding beer can. I bought a car from a guy once, and for a month after buying it, I was finding his beer cans in the car. You'd hit the brakes and you hear something roll around. It's like, what the heck is that? I mean, it was a
Mhm.
big old, it was a '64 Ford Galaxy, so it's a huge, long car. There was plenty places for them to still be. I guess I hadn't combed through the car
Right.
completely.
Yeah.
None of his DNA in the car either. It was weird. I don't know. No, I'm just just kidding.
Wow. I didn't look for a white Elantra once on my vacation or the week off. I
Oh yeah.
just remember I sent you that one pic. You're like, look at that white car in the background. I was like, what? I didn't even notice it until you told me about it. So I was like,
Right. You were
what are you
unplugged.
talking about, Jim?
Yeah, it was a good feeling to unplug. Although when I was in New Orleans, and when I sometimes in the hotel though, I was watching some of I like watching Sigma Kai's videos lately. I find myself
No.
doing other stuff, but I'm listening to him, in the background, and yours too, of course.
Right. Well, I haven't had much on. So
Yeah,
you know. Let me ask you a question. So Sigma Chi, is that really um the same creator, or
it,
because I hear it's an AI robot? What? I
no,
mean,
I think he's. I mean, he's a very clever guy, man. He's funny. I find him very funny. But yeah, no, I
yeah.
think he's
You too, Carl. Thank
he's
you for being.
reinvented himself, and I mean, I like to think I get all his humor, and I think it's pretty funny. It's pretty
Okay.
very
Okay.
I mean, very smart guy. You sit there with the dictionary sometimes and learn new words from him. He's that kind of guy, but very articulate, um, very
Well,
funny.
when he was the other guy, his other channel. I mean, he would be doing a great show. Like he would have a lot of interesting stuff to be watching, and then all of a sudden he'd go off on his subs. Like
Hmm.
he would go off about his numbers, or his monetary value or whatever, and I was like, why is this guy focusing so much on this? Or you start talking about somebody else, and,
Is it
it's like,
I've often said about like Gray. I think the correct term
yeah,
would be he doesn't suffer fools, right? So he's got no time for to be explaining things to you. Or if you don't get it, well, it's like, get back of the line. We ain't got no time to be your personal instructor here. And maybe too, it's like, maybe there's the feeling of like, I'm sharing with you gems. These are, and I'm doing it for free. It's like you'd be getting paid for this, right? Like you, I mean, you had 20 years in counseling, right?
yeah,
20 plus,
yeah,
and sharing some great gems of wisdom, and you're not getting paid for that. So it's, yeah.
no. Well, like I told that individual a while ago, what I'm doing is not counseling. This is not counseling. No matter what people think that all counseling and therapy is just sitting across the desk talking to people. That's not what it is. That's not all it is. If you have ever had a therapist that does that, Dave, go find somebody else because you're supposed to have somebody that is bouncing certain thoughts off of you as well as directing you to problem solving skills and giving you insight on areas that they hear that you're talking about. Because we all know what ails us. We don't really need somebody to tell us, but we can't fix our things ourselves. We can't.
Right, right.
You know,
So they do more than just sit there with a notebook and just say, interesting.
I always joke with my family and tell them, look, I'm gonna do the criminal justice stuff until I get in my 70s or 80s and I can't hear or see. That way I can just sit there and go, really? So how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Okay. And just watch their mouth as it moves. And when it's stopped, then I'll know that they're done talking. Okay.
It's like, oh,
All
look
right.
at the time. We're
Yeah.
at time. I had a friend in high school who I found out he was doing some like part time. I don't know if he got paid for it, if he just or what, but it was for an unaliving hotline, and which I always admired that he did that. But I do remember him saying it's like it's really you're just kind of just listening, not really offering up a whole bunch of new like this is what I do. It's more of like how does that make you feel, like just like you said. And
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, you can do that. People can do different. I mean, um, there's different modalities of counseling. There's different ways to elicit somebody to change. But that's boring to me. I don't like that type. I'm not okay. What? Well, let's dive in together. Let's see what we can get to the solution together. So yeah.
Right.
So how's the guitar playing coming, buddy?
Good, man. I just a little while ago posted a video of a little short video clip of our performance last night in Richmond. We were playing outside under an old warehouse where they took underneath it. There's like two lanes, this road that goes under it. So they basically shut off the road, and we just play under the building. There's water behind us. I put a bunch of pictures in my community tab too to show that. But
Okay.
the little clip that I put on YouTube with us jamming, every guitar solo, most everyone that I play on these songs, I just make it up on the spot. I just go with what I feel. They're not extremely complex songs, so it's not you know. But this one clip that I put up there, I really kind of liked what I played because usually because I'm just making it up, there's often mistakes, and I'm like, shoot,
Right. Right.
you know. But it's a thing. It's a type of thing where it's like we're not playing something that I've heard on the radio a million times. If it was a cover song, then I would know how that solo goes because I've heard it a billion times. But this one that I posted, I was pretty proud of because I felt like there might be one, two mistakes in my opinion, and I thought that came out pretty good. Now that might end up being now the solo that goes with that song because now I've got a reference. I can listen to it a billion times, and then it becomes like the songs I listened to as a kid. Now that solo's burned into my head. That's what will come out the next time we play it, and every time we play it probably. So but it was fun. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I thought you might have hopped on stage and jammed with one of those people in Bourbon Street, man. I
oh
I
no,
attended a piano bar
that's
one
gonna
time
be
and they were amazing. I mean, their musical skills are top notch. I mean, not just anybody can play on Bourbon Street. I don't know if they have talent scouts or any of that stuff, but you know, whoever, um,
yeah,
not
they're
just
they're they're definitely top notch. We even had I got a video clip of this one, the drummer. He does this really cool fill, and he hits the cymbal, and it falls off the stand. And the one there's two female singers, and one of the singers trying to help him, and he's still playing, doesn't stop. The song doesn't stop. Puts that cymbal back on, right back into business. It's just like a NASCAR pit stop, just smooth, new tires, gas full, back in the race. It was
right,
really
right.
really awesome. But yeah, I
Wow.
I you know I did send because I took a ton of videos and photos. This one band that we watched, the one that played Journey and all these great songs, I sent them a Google photo album of everything I took and sent it to them. And then I sent them, to a little bit of my YouTube channel and the guitar solo video I've got on my YouTube channel, just to get the guitarist like opinions, because they have two guitarists in the band, clearly very. This one guitarist, man, he played keyboards. He had two keyboards. He played guitar. Sometimes he would jump on the bass if the bass player that looked like, remember I said the bass player looked just like Dago?
Yeah.
He'd jump in and fill in for the bass player. But when he was playing the keyboards, he'd have his right hand on the keyboard, left hand playing the guitar at the same time. Guy was amazing. What's it called? Supersonic Band is what they're called. They're from New Orleans. So if you're looking around for Supersonic Band, check them out. They were unbelievable.
Really. I usually try to hit there, either on the way to the beach area or New Year's Eve. Those are the best times to go. It's like New Year's Eve, there's just so much madness, and I'm sure Mardi Gras just the same. That place never sleeps. That place never sleeps. And but just amazing time. It really puts a lot into perspective. It helped me realize that I was putting so much energy in things that really truly don't really add up that much in my own real life. You know what I mean? Like do you get what I'm saying by that?
Wait, say it again. I was just reading Heather's comment, and it made me think. I'm trying to remember where I know Heather, where I first met Heather. Was it from Detective John or?
Well, I went back and I looked at the live that there was a Heather on there. It's not this one. It's not this one. No, I thought it was, and I've asked her that before. I said, "Are you the one that was on Detective John?" And it's not, because that one that was on there, um, has had like brain surgery or something, and she was a therapist or something like that of that sort. It's not this one. You know, you guys quit arguing in the chat, please. I mean, I changed my name. This is not the place for it. And you can get upset at me and you can tell me that I'm gaslighting you. I asked you nicely a while ago to respect the chat and everybody else who's commenting that this is serenity, okay? Like I've stated in other lives, and I'm going to say it again, I don't care about other creators. I don't care about other people who what you know about them. I don't care. Don't bring it in my chat. I don't care about it. I don't care. I don't care. Please do not bring it into my chat. Do not throw your personal issues in my chat. We're trying to talk about something up here that benefits people. And if you're not here for that, then please leave. Come back on another time when we're talking true crime or whatever that you can talk about what you're talking about right now, because I'm trying to be cordial here. And like I said, I'm trying to be graceful. And it's really hard right now. So if you guys can kind of stop with all the back and forth.
Yeah, what was somebody saying much earlier, back when I was outside listening to you, that they said you don't have to engage in every battle that comes your way, or that you're invited to. People are going to say what they're going to say, and
Yeah. She's not the same Heather from Detective John. Truth exposed. No, she's not. I mean, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't remember when I first met.
Docking people quit. I mean, what does it matter? If y'all have your own business, y'all have your own thing going on, go on your channel and go live. That way they can go over there and y'all can battle it out on your chat. That's not what this chat's about. It's not, oh, I'm going to go hop on a live to battle people that are in that chat on what I know about them or this, that, and the other, and talk about gaslighting.
Have you seen that that Monty Python sketch, the Argument Clinic? Did
Yes,
I send
yes,
you that? Yeah, or you may have. I'm sure you've seen it.
yes,
It's kind of old.
yes. You and I.
I love that. That what was Oh, I think it
Yes,
was
yes, I do remember that. Truth, I do, because I heard you ask her. You said, "Are you this Heather or whatever?" And she's like, "No, I'm another one. I always get confused with this and this and that and the other." I remember that. I
I
remember
know there's
that
another Heather that has like it looks like an M after her name, but I think it's actually a symbol for a zodiac sign. I can't remember which one.
because this one had a pit bull on her emoji. The other Heather that this person talking about had a pit bull on it, and I guess that's why they get this one confused. But that's not what this chat's about right now. So why bring it in here? Go start a live, go start bashing me, go start bashing Jeff, go start bashing whoever you want to, and then everybody can go over there and y'all can have a free for all. Please don't do it in here. I've asked you nicely more than once. More than once. So let's try to play nice, all right? Keep it classy. Okay?
So I always tell my dog Nanook, it's like because he's always fighting with the cats. I was like, Nanook, be nice, be nice. He looks at
Yeah,
me.
be nice. Be nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not gonna block that person. I mean, they have a bunch of names, I think, or whatever. So I know you were, Truth. I know you were. We're good.
yeah,
You know, it's no use in blocking people because I believe in communicating with them, whether they get anything across. That's on their end. What you think is none of my business. You got that? What you think is none of my business. Have you ever heard that? Jeff, have you ever heard that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I love that saying. I mean, I heard that one day and I was like, oh my God, that saying says a lot. It's what you think is none of my business. That means you can keep your thoughts to yourself. It's none
yeah.
of my business to know what you're thinking about me. You know.
I think too. Yeah, I think it's an important point that you're talking about. You're all about communication. So yeah, blocking someone. Also too, if you're like, I don't like this person because they're so angry, so I'll block them. I think you just made them angrier. So if you didn't
Yeah.
like the fact they were
I mean,
angry,
I mean,
you might have just
everybody's
made it worse.
thoughts and feelings are valid. I just don't feel like having that type of discussion in here, especially when it's Serenity Sunday and we're going for free for all in the chat.
Yeah.
You like my hat, Jeff?
Yeah, as I was looking at it, it's like, wait, is the top missing? Did you? I was trying to figure out what it is. So
I
it's
don't
a
know.
visor.
It's like
Are you going out
actually
to play golf or?
it's a hook, so it's like kind of like a
Oh, it's a
fishing
fishing.
valor.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah, I stopped at a couple Bucky's. Have you ever stopped at a Bucky's? You know what a Bucky's
I've
is?
only been in one. That's when I visited Texas.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only.
Actually, they have them in the South now. I was shocked that they had them in Alabama.
We
I
got one
think they
coming
have,
this way at some point because I know on the there's a website that has like neighbors in the neighborhood talk, comments. It's like a little miniature Facebook, and yeah, people are always talking. They were talking about we don't want Bucky's. We got to protest this, and you don't want.
right, right.
They know where it's going to be, I think, and they know, but they don't know. And some people are like, but it's going to create a lot of jobs, and
Yeah.
it's going to have 400 gas pumps along the front.
I mean, it just putting Walmart to shame as far as the gas pumps. And I get you, Texas. I know that in your profession, it's not okay to be nice all the time. Yeah, Bucky's has a lot of stuff. It has a lot of stuff, and it's quite expensive. They have
Yeah.
knockoffs. They have all kinds of. It's like a truck stop kind of stuff, I
I
guess.
think we got some like roasted cashews or something. They've got a
Yeah,
whole bunch
something.
of different yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a cash making business. It's like you're on the road. You need to use the bathroom while you're in here. Why not get some barbecue brisket, some honey buns, and all that.
Right.
We got drinks from for miles. We have, 150 bathrooms. We have, like you said, 14 gas pumps. We have, all this stuff. It is catered for the traveler for sure.
They got the gift shop of, we were only in there. We were like, go in, check it out real quick, go out. It's almost like, remember in National Lampoon Vacation when they went to the Grand Canyon, they stood at the edge of it and he looked at it and said,
Right.
okay, let's go. Get back in the car.
Hi, Swamp Rose. How you doing? Thank you for being
Swamp
here.
Rose, Kiki.
Kiki. It's
You know when
yeah,
I say the name Kiki, you know what because my wife's from El Salvador. The sound in Spanish, the sound a chicken makes, or no, a rooster. It's a kikiriki, kikiriki instead of
yeah,
cockle doodle doo.
Kiki. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting that, like you were just saying, as far as, you know, um, when we're looking for serenity, no closer can we find that than the end of our nose. This stops right here.
Mm-hmm. You
Stops
find
right there.
serenity on. You got some serenity on your nose, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, I see
Hey,
Twizzle.
Kiki, would you like to come up? We're talking serenity and things of that nature. I hate to put you on the spot, but I don't see you in my chat that much anymore, so I thought I'd take the chance. If you want to, I'll drop the link.
Everybody start chanting key key
Hey,
key
key, key,
key
key, key,
key.
key, 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 key. You know, did you see my community page today, Jeff? I want to talk about this a little bit
No, I didn't. I missed that.
because it kind of goes with what we're talking about right now. I mean, we're talking about a lot of things right now. It said, let me see if I can pull it up.
While we're waiting, don't hesitate to hit that like button.
Exactly. It says, nowadays people don't defend what is right; they defend whom they like and benefit from.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a kind of a group think kind of thing, or you're going with the following the group instead of
You're always welcome,
your heart.
Kiki. Just let me know. Well, I thought of that and I was like, that's in any area of life, though. Sometimes we don't defend what is right, we defend whom we like and benefit from.
Right.
It's it wasn't really to start conflict of any like anyway. I thought it was interesting. It's like to defend what is right means that we are defending a belief system that we have. So we take our emotional attachment away from that. We defend it because that's our belief system. It's like I'm an American, so I'm going to defend against people that don't like Americans, not because of any other reason than my beliefs about being an American and all it stands for. Does that make sense?
Right. Right.
But there's so many times that people are afraid to stand up for what they believe and only flock together with people who they can benefit from or to please. You know, and
You've seen that movie Raising Arizona, right, with Nicolas Cage? You seen that? It's a Coen Brothers movie. I just
yeah,
what you were saying just reminded me of. There's a quote in there where he says, "There's what's right, and there's what's right. Never the twain
yeah,
shall meet."
yeah,
I think they
yeah,
were. I think they were discussing like whether or not it was right. In that movie, they kidnap one of the babies because they feel that they've got, what is it, quintuplets? They've got a.
yes, yes.
What did she say? They've got more than they can handle. High.
Yeah, they got more than they can handle. They won't miss this one.
Yeah.
That movie was a classic, Jeff. I love that
I love
movie.
it. That's probably one of my top 3 favorite movies. I worship
Yeah,
that movie. It's
yeah.
great.
He's like, I'm trying, honey.
Yeah.
He goes and robs the same bank just to see her, you know?
Oh, when
Yeah,
because she's taking the mug shots?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they get married, and then, she starts crying. Back to the left.
Oh,
And she's
when they
like,
pull him away from getting his mug shots, I like when
yes,
he
yes,
said he says,
exactly.
he says, "Tell me how let me know how those turn out."
Yeah, too fast for fleas, you're right. When he snatches the diapers off the street. Yeah, that's classic.
It's like, "Make a right here, honey. Make a right."
Yeah.
What do you say?
She
This
she
sure ain't us.
punches him. He's like, I know I probably deserve that, honey. We're a family now.
You're acting like a mad dog.
I know, honey, but
You know what's funny? I mean, I've seen that movie so many times. You can just examine like his character, and when you watch that movie, just notice how many times he's cut off by people. His sentences, he hardly gets to finish sentences, and I think it's just like a character trait. It's like he's got that. It's like that little bit of too nice a guy, and people
yeah,
walk all over him, and then which I think is probably it's probably great storytelling because it builds and builds. I'm sure that's frustrating as
right,
hell
right.
to have somebody do that.
And when isn't that John Goodman in that where he says, I don't
Yeah.
hate to meddle in anybody's business, HI, but I ask the question who wears the pants in this thing?
Yeah. He's talking under his breath too, so like she can't hear. Like, who wears the pants around here? Huh?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, they gotta go. She's telling them they
I
gotta
like
go.
I like too how the other guy says, "Hi, you're young, you got your health. What you want with a job?" There's some great
Exactly,
lines in that movie. I
exactly.
love that movie.
Especially when they take the baby back, and they get caught and they're like, well, me and the missus, we're separating ways, and you
Yeah,
know, it just the storyline, something else.
yeah.
Like, how could I mean that is just the imagination of some storytellers. I mean, it's amazing.
I've heard that those brothers that make those movies, the Cohen brothers, that when actors talk about them when working with them, it's like they say those two brothers, they have watched the movie already in their head. They're just now, bringing it out. So I guess
Yeah,
they just collaborate and talk about it. So it's like they know exactly how it will be. Like this is going to work great. And yeah, that's one group of guys that if a movie comes out by them, I don't need to look at reviews. It's two groups. That movie, I'll buy it, or I don't even watch it now, but I'll watch it. Won't even think about it. Five Finger Death Punch. They come out with a CD. I'm there. I don't care.
yeah,
Don't need to
yeah,
read
exactly.
anything. It's going to be good.
Right, exactly. You know, there's another. I think they're called the Farley brothers or
Yeah,
something.
they do a comedy.
Yeah, the Dumb and Dumber guys.
Yeah,
Isn't that the Farley brothers?
that's Farley.
The
Yeah,
ones that did Me, Myself, and Irene, and
it's Stuck on You. I think what the two guys were
yeah,
conjoined twins or something. And
yeah, yeah. I mean, those movies are just classic. It's like you know the words, and you're just laughing to every
Avenged Sevenfold.
every joke.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh at yourself, who can, right?
I think sometimes I feel like as I go through life, anytime I've got to respond to something, my mind is going through, can I put a joke here? It's like, you're always here, man. Why you always got to be the first thing I think of? It's like, can I put a joke here, Jeff? And it's like, no, come on, we're having a serious conversation. But I got a good one. I got a good one.
Oh yeah, truth exposed. You're right. That is classic. That is. That
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, the toilet don't work in there. He's like, what?
Man, I had an embarrassing thing at our band played at this place once, and I clogged the toilet. It was one of our other bandmates came in after me. Water everywhere. Oh man, it was so embarrassing. Our drummer always like. Then we go to another place like Jeff, stay away from that toilet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had a couple of moments like that. Not clogging the toilet, but it's like, bathrooms are so sacred these days. I didn't know that, a lot of places won't let you use them unless you're a paying customer. Or you got to leave a tip or something in order to use their bathroom. Well, there's a lot of, driving with people in the car, they got to stop at unpredictable times. So you might as well all use it at once, right?
Right,
There
right.
was a lot of times where, you go in and there's only one bathroom and you walk out and, you have those moments where, oh my God, that coffee, the last night's Taco Bell, all those moments.
Right, right.
And you're like, you walk out and there's like this lady with her daughter about to go and use the bathroom or whatever. There's no spray, there's nothing. And it's just, oh my God.
Do you start to walk a little faster as you go out? The
Yes.
front, like,
And you feel like the smell is just following you. People are just like gagging as you walk by, like, "Bleh, bleh."
stop that guy! Stop that guy! And I forgot about that. When I was in New Orleans, I'd never seen a bathroom attendant, I guess you call him, or a guy that works
Yeah.
in the bathroom. And he, but I realized quickly, it's like, oh shoot, I guess it's customary I should tip him. And so I gave him all I had was a $5 bill. I said thanks. He had the soap for me, squirted.
Did he
Hey,
give you the? Did
did
he
you?
give you any cologne? Like spray any cologne?
No, just I think probably handed me the towel the paper towel to dry. And you ever watch that show, The IT Crowd?
No.
You should check that out. It's funny. It's funniest thing you'll ever see. I love that show. But there's a scene where the two of them go into this bathroom and they crack the door. He's like, oh no. He said they've got a when they're English accents, they've got a bathroom guy in here. It's like, oh no. So they both go in there. They stand at the urinals. They come over. They wash their hands. They tip the guy, and they go out. Both of them like, were you able to go? And he's like, no, I wasn't. Neither was I. I couldn't go. He's standing right there. He's like watching me the whole time.
I mean, do you ever watch? What was it? King of the Hill.
Oh yeah, love that show.
You know where Hank's dad? He got his shin blown off in the war, right?
Right.
There was an episode where he couldn't get a job, and the only thing that he could get was one of those guys that was helping in the bathroom, and he's plopped up down that chair and he's swinging his legs weren't even touching the floor, right?
Right. Right, because the distance from the knee to the foot is short.
Yeah, exactly. It just
Who is the character? Boomhauer.
yeah, Boomhauer.
I like he'd always say, "Yeah, man. I'll tell you what."
I saw a restaurant called Boomhauer's in Alabama.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's like a famous name down there, the Boomhauers.
Oh okay.
Those Alabama people are doing it right. I can tell you, man. It's like I have no complaints about Alabama whatsoever. Mississippi is such a small state; you really don't see a lot while you're going through it. Louisiana takes a little longer, but I mean they're cooking, and that seafood's top notch.
Hmm.
You know,
And you're where now? Where are you currently?
I'm back at the house. I'm
You're
in
back
Texas.
home now. Okay.
You know,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to get away and just unplug from everything. Did you have the sensation of feeling like this is kind of nice to step away from this true crime stuff. Maybe I won't go back.
You notice I didn't. You notice I didn't do a live every night. I mean, I did one like probably 3 the whole time I was gone. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it was hard to do too. Like I didn't have anything to talk about. I didn't want to talk about anything.
right, right.
You know? And guess what, Jeff? In Louisiana on Bourbon Street, not one person came up to me and said, "Bro, hey, guess what? Brian Koberger's innocent.
Right.
Brian Koberger's guilty."
You
You know
probably
those Idaho 4 people? Did you hear about that case?
maybe they need to have a
Oh, hold on,
trial
hold
there.
on. Let me hold on. Let's go into this jazz bar right here. I'm about to break it down for you. No, not one. Not one person the whole time
Right,
asked
right.
about any of that.
Yeah,
Didn't that feel awesome?
yeah, yeah.
You know? Didn't that
No,
feel
it's
awesome?
true. It's true. And it's a I don't know. It's bizarre. If you'd, because I know I used to see my mom watching, video after video about the Delphi case, and I thought, how I know. I mean, that's interesting, but not consuming. I would never be consumed about a true crime case. No,
No,
here
not
I
you,
am.
Jeff. No. Hey, bro, I'm the same way, man. I thought there's no way I am going to be one of those people that follows something all the way through, you know?
Yeah,
I kind of got to that point right now that if I was going to have a description of my mind in the case, I'm like in the white Elantra and I'm running on fumes and it's sputtering. You get what I'm saying? It's like, it's not going to make it to trial. The
yeah,
Elantra has made so many laps. I forgot to fill up. I forgot to check the oil. I forgot to check the tires because I ran over some stuff in Linda Lane that, obviously I didn't see were there. So, all that good stuff, it just, my car is sputtering, bro. I don't know if it's going to make it to trial.
yeah. Yeah, this is probably where some creators can get in trouble because it feels like, okay, there's nothing to talk about at the moment. So you create things. I mean, it's almost like, before 24-hour news, like there was Walter Cronkite. He came on a certain time. Maybe he'd break into your programming to say, that Kennedy, was in Dallas and everything that happened there. But news happened at a time, and then and that's the way it is. Or what? How do you say? That's the way it was. And then he'd sign off.
Yeah.
Check in tomorrow, see what's happening on the news. But when it's 24-hour news, you've got to create it. You've got to keep it going. You've got to analyze it upside down, backside, flip it over, check this. Same kind of thing with the true crime stuff, I think.
I mean, the only thing about true crime that I noticed, I was sitting at the Hard Rock Cafe last night eating dinner, right? Because the kids loved that place, and we had to go back. If they love something, you got to go and do it again. So we were at the Hard Rock, and I glanced up on the TV, and I'm gonna look into this case a little more because I just caught a little bit of it. Um, it showed like a bunch of people at a hotel beating this guy to death in the lobby. They were like dragging him from the hotel. I don't know, Chad, if y'all have heard about this or you know, you saw the video on news or whatever.
This is
But
a positivity part of the program, right here.
yeah, this is the positivity part. Anyways, I'm just going to speak on this and then I'm going to go on from it. But, you know, um, I was like, what the fuck? How did that happen? How did that happen? It's like, that's what I'm saying. Our world is so
Yeah,
violent these days,
it's like
violent.
road rage, and I hate to hear when somebody says you disrespected me. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
is that really reason to be physical and violent and cause blood to spill? Um, yeah, I don't.
When did we get to that mindset where you're either with me or you're against me?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's like drawing a line in the sand, picking sides, you
You
know.
know, like I told that lady a while ago, whoever the hell that was. You know, I don't mean any disrespect when I say I don't care about any other creators because I don't. I don't know them personally. I don't know you personally, but I have a relationship with you that is outside of YouTube.
Right.
So I feel that we've made a friendship. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So with other people, I've heard certain things come from their mouth off camera that instantly made me want to pull away. You know, it's like not only do you talk this way on camera, but you talk this way off of camera. What side do you swing on? You know, you can't be one way, and another way.
Right.
That messes with my consistency, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think but there's what's the phrase? Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Just, be
Yeah.
what you are and be yourself and um yeah. I
It's
mean,
kind of like this. It's kind of like this, Jeff. If you heard somebody say, "Hey, you know what, Jeff? 12 Gauge was talking bad about you on his on his live stream the other day. You said this and that and this and that and this and that." What's the first thing you would do?
now is that gaslighting? Is that a
No,
form of gaslighting? I still don't
no,
get it. Damn it.
it's okay.
um
It's
yeah, no, the
not.
first thing is, I want to go to the source and say, "Hey, but yeah, I know some people will like that's all I needed to hear. He's out of here. It happened to me from a well, I hate to talk about him now because I feel like we're somewhat friendly now, but one of the first
Yeah,
places I was big on YouTube or was part of a big YouTube show, it's like, yeah, I kind of felt like I was kicked to the curb because others went to him and said, "Hey, I saw him here. Hey, did you know this? Hey, did you know that?" And I thought, man, it just felt so much like a middle school you know, what do you mean can't be friends with me because I'm friends with that person? Really?
right, right.
Oh, okay.
What are you doing talking to them? What are you doing talking with that girl? She's one of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this whole. I guess if I have anything to tie this up with,
Look what Heather typed.
yeah, and it isn't everybody's cup of tea.
That Jeff Heitch isn't everyone's cup of tea.
I'm sure I'm not everybody's cup of tea either. I just haven't made it to your stratosphere yet, Jeff.
Is that what it is? The stratosphere.
That's what it is, bro. You made Chaos Sector, Harsh. You've made countless shows that
But and doing
Oh
nothing. When was the last time
yeah!
you really put out any videos? I just
How dare you copy somebody else's video, bro? Like,
oh my gosh. That was something. I can't when I was having to try and defend and explain that situation, I typed those same words. I got to the point where I was copying and pasting my responses because it was like, oh, here comes another person that really thinks that I did that, and it's like, but
I mean, it's like when I go into a stream, I don't go in with the mindset to say, I wonder what I can take from this to talk about on my show. Or I wonder if they're talking about me over here.
yeah.
Truth says I've been blocked from more live chat than Jeff has been on panels.
Do they hover over the button to block you the moment you walk in? Truth.
They see
I'm
the
ready.
Marvin the Martian and they're like, yep, there it is. Say one word. We got you. Say it. Say it. Say it.
I remember being in live chats and the mods in there would poke at you and poke at you just so that you'd respond and say something that's like, oh, let's see what he says. Okay, I'm blocking him. But the greatest thing I can almost remember who the people were, but I can't. I think it might have been on Daniel's show, and I remember this one. They were trying to poke at me, and I just ignored, didn't respond in any way whatsoever. And I could tell they were just getting so upset, irritated by it. And they kept on and kept on. Nothing. And I think at the same time, I was also talking to one of the other mods that I get along with and complimenting, and and so they could see it's like, okay, I know he sees what I'm saying, but
You know, Jeff, I'm gonna have to get you to, give me a super chat before I respond to you from now on.
you're gonna need
That's
about.
an inside joke, y'all. That's an inside joke.
Are you gonna need about Tree Fitty?
Yeah, about 350. I need some of that coffee money. Dutch Brothers.
Yeah,
I mean, it's comical to talk about it because in reality, that's if you're gonna be one way on this camera, be the same way off of it. If you say you're a Christian, be a Christian 24/7.
right, right.
Lukewarm Christians, they would give other Christians a bad name. They really do.
Yeah,
You know, and I think that's why some of the stuff that I stand for, it isn't necessarily the 12 gauge stands for it. It's something that I'm grounded in, like this is going against my core. I can't really be one person on camera and be another person off of it. It doesn't work.
right.
I tried that early on in my sobriety. I tried to still dabble a little bit and still say that I was sober. It doesn't work. You're going to be exposed and you feel dirty all the time.
Yeah, it's very easy to just be yourself. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to do anything. Same kind of
Right.
same kind of notion with just telling the truth. When you find yourself lying frequently, then all the extra brain work that you have to do to like remember lies you told, versus the freedom of you know, just always say
Right.
say it like it is, say what it is. Um, yeah, I'm terrible. There've been many times where I've spoiled like a birthday surprise because I'm just so open about everything. It's like,
Yeah.
I think I remembered saying I saw somebody had texted me. It's like, "Hey man, I'll see you Saturday." And they're like, "What? What's going on Saturday?" It's like, "Oh shoot." It's like they don't know they got a surprise birthday coming up Saturday. I
Right.
just
Right.
blew the surprise.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it just it's just better to be honest about everything because in the end it's going to come out, and that's where some of these fights come up. Is people go in one chat and they talk one way and then they go to another one. They don't realize that some of the same people they were talking with in this chat or in this chat, and before long, they're being called out and they're mad about it.
Right, right,
Because I've heard certain people talk one way and then they talk a different way the next time. You're like, no, no, you were talking this way about this situation. Now you totally flipped. Well, that's okay, but don't act like that's the stance you've had all along.
right.
It just, it we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard behind this camera. We really do. Because when people say I don't have it's not my responsibility for what happens in the chat or how people take it, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah,
Because there's people that watch these chats or watch these panels and they generally like you and they respect what you say and they believe what you say. So to say you have no responsibility if you are leading your chat in a direction that is not healthy, that is irresponsibility if you ask me.
right, right.
In fact, you didn't ask me, so it's whatever.
Or making, if it's not alive, just making videos that are just I won't mention any names, but man, there's some that I think, wow.
Yeah.
You're saying things about people that live over there, and you don't know for sure. And these people, you know, I don't know.
I mean, I've worked with criminals all 20 years. Word travels fast. Something could happen in a morning group. By that night, everybody in that night group knew what happened that morning. And none of them were there in that morning. So, inmate.com is a fast traveling internet service, believe it or not, but
Mm.
trying to keep it off the criminal stuff. Um, yeah. How's your dog?
Trying, but not the.
Yeah.
And it's cool, I think sometimes what you were talking about, somebody that's a, you know, claims to be a Christian. I mean, I when I have said at any point or have told anyone that I'm a Christian doesn't mean I'm a perfect person.
Right.
One thing that comes along with that component is one. I mean, it's been a life changing thing for me. So it's something. Why wouldn't I share? It's like anybody said, why are you the way you are? It's like, well, I can tell you exactly why I am the way I am, or where it happened. But there's also a little bit of an accountability type of thing. I can't imagine how I would feel right now after being on YouTube this long and not have shared that. And then it's like, okay, when are you going to share that? It's like, and then if you do share, it's like, wait, why have you kept that a secret so long? Are you embarrassed about it, or?
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
think it's. Mhm.
I don't like the fact that, like if you've had a transformation through that belief system and it changed who you are, what your beliefs, how you hold yourself accountable and responsible to being a better person, why would you make fun of what I am if you don't believe in what I am?
Right, right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, I hold myself to a higher standard because I believe in a higher standard that, goes deeper than the surface. I'm not going to get into that, but, to be on this camera doesn't say, okay, now that I'm on the camera, I can be dishonest and deceiving and cast evil on the world and agree with evil. And then once I get off camera, then I can go and pray in my Bible and everything's okay. For me, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
think
just
I always like to think about why people do what they do. And for me, that whole the whole, being a Christian is just that a lot of what the reasons I do or think the way that I do is because of that. And I also too, I remember I learned a lesson a long time ago. I can't remember, I think I was dating somebody, and I was young and foolish, and they were with me, and I didn't introduce them to the people that we just went up and talked to. I think it's a mistake that a lot of young guys probably do. And then after they walk away and their girlfriend hits them in the arms, like, what am I? Am I invisible? You didn't introduce me. You didn't involve me in the conversation. Same thing. It's like if you feel like you're walking with God, if you have a walk with God, as they call it, you wouldn't ever bring that up. I mean, it's see that, but you can go too far. You can be bringing that up all the time, thumping
right,
the Bible and telling people how they ought to live. No,
right,
that's too far. But if given the opportunity, especially if you feel like you're talking to somebody who feels like, I don't know what to do, man, life sucks. I hate myself, and and you that seems like an opportunity to bring up, and it's nothing more. It's not like you're trying to sell something. It's nothing more than saying, what works for me, this is what I did. And it's in a similar situation because I felt like you're feeling, this is what I did, worked for me. If it works for you, then I'm glad I mentioned it, and tell me later. It's like, man, I'm glad you mentioned that.
yeah, because I mean, it could be anything, and that's why I do this Serenity Sunday is because there's people that told me, hey, I get a lot out of it, even if it's just you talking and giving helpful advice about certain things, or to give me hope that I'm not the only one feeling this way. Because that's the worst thing to feel is alone.
Yeah.
Like you're going through something alone. Because when we're in the storm of life, most of us, to be honest, if we were going to be honest, we feel like we're the only person dealing with that at the moment. And we talk to people because we don't want to be saved, we don't want to be helped. We just want somebody to listen. And that's why I've said over and over, if anybody ever needed to come up on panel and they really were about accepting help or redirection or something like that, I don't mind having them up here.
Right.
But if we're trying to help, at the same time, don't say that we're being malicious and trying to do things that we're not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. What is a too fast mention something? I have heard of that. Feel, felt, found. Is that like that's a methodology of speaking when you're counseling? Is that a counseling type of thing?
Say that again.
See, too fast just says Jeff threw out the feel, felt, found to you. And I think that's in like when you're talking with somebody, it's like, I understand how you feel. I've felt that way myself. This is
Yes.
what I've found. I think
Yes.
it is what kind of what I did. I didn't
Yeah.
do it intentionally thinking like step 1, step 2, step 3 like
But I mean, it is a confrontational way to let the person know that they're being hurt.
right, because nobody
Because-
likes to be told what to do, but
Right.
but everybody loves to, like, as you observe other people and say, that's the greatest thing is like, I love when somebody comes up to me and say, what, like my friend, I have a friend who saw my conversion, saw me going through what I'm doing, and it's like, I remember he described it, I think, as like, I don't know what you've got, but I need some of that. It's like, what's going on with you?
Right.
Like, I know I'm going through some of the similar stuff you're going through, and you're like going through it and still smiling. I'm going through it and I just want to jump off a cliff.
Right.
Um, that kind
I
of,
mean, and that's a non-confrontational way, Jeff. I feel what you're going through. I've felt that myself. Let me let you hear what helped me. Because believe it or not, sometimes we're the only hope somebody will see that day.
Too Fast says it's used in sales as well. See, I always knew Too Fast was a very wise person.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Actually, now it's good. Now I'll probably start doing it because I remember the 3 steps instead of just,
Yeah.
putting out there.
I mean, don't you believe that sometimes we're the only hope somebody's going to run into that
But
day?
that's what you were talking about earlier. It reminded me of a phrase that I've heard where in church, or the church I used to go to, like, it's a phrase that's like, you might be the only Bible that a person reads, right? And so
Yeah.
what in that book that has helped you, whatever, like, again, that's why I like books of wisdom. It doesn't have to necessarily just be the Bible. It's just books of wisdom, like things to make you think, redirect you in a positive way, make you, even though it's cloudy, the sunshine is over there, it's still there, it's just cloudy for the
Yeah.
moment. You can make it through. I know in AA meetings they talk about the, waiting the 5 minutes. Um, just wait that 5 minutes. You might, or 5 minutes from the miracle. I think that's how they call it. It's
Yeah.
like what you're going through right now in
Don't
five
don't give
minutes.
up. Don't give up before the miracle happens. It's
Right.
yeah. Also, Jeff, that as we're talking tonight about giving hope to people, sometimes people aren't ready for that hope. They
Mhm.
want it, but they don't know how to accept it. Early on in my sobriety, people would just tell me, just pray about it. Just pray about it. And in my delusional mind, what's praying going to do? I'm praying to a person I don't believe in, a person that I don't even know, a person that I don't even think exists. And what's he going to do for me that I can't do for myself? That was my selfish thoughts. That was my selfishness. You couldn't have given, I had people serving hope, faith, and love to me every day. I didn't want it.
Right. Right.
It choked me. It was too much to keep down. I wanted to throw it up every time I heard it. Every time I was given it, I didn't want it. And if I could give any kind of advice to anyone who is dealing with any of that, small increments. Plant a seed and walk away.
Right.
You know,
Takes time.
somebody wise told me one time. They said, "Your only job is to plant a seed, not to get them to heaven."
Mm, right. Right. Just do your part. It's kind of like it was. I was gonna say it's. Oh, I was gonna say it's like it's like well, cats knock this over, but it's a guitar made out of Legos. You
Yeah,
know, and things like this. It takes time, piece by piece. Maybe you don't finish it today. It's like a puzzle.
I mean, we're all a work in progress. All of us.
Yeah, it's a good country
There's
song.
no,
Isn't there a
there's
song like-
no perfect. There's no perfect person amongst us.
Yeah,
That's why I was saying, and what I said the other night is, no matter what people's belief is on the crime that we all talk about, that we're not going to talk about tonight, is that person who did that crime was not perfect. That was not a perfect crime. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
every
We're
time you
not.
say that, I think of Forrest Gump. The way you phrase that. That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that. Because it's true. We put so many people on a pedestal. Well, he does this for a living, or he does that for a living, or he's worked with this person, he's worked with that person. He's still a human being. Their words have no more value than the next man who does the same job. You get what I'm saying? It's like I would never want anybody to put me on a pedestal.
Right. Right.
I'm fallible. I will fail you every time. That's a given. That is a given. Whether it be unintentional, being a human being, I will fail you.
That's why we have the
And
word sorry.
that takes,
Apologize.
that takes a lot of humility to even admit that, Jeff.
It does. It does.
Because I don't like to admit that there's anything wrong. But to say that I will fail you?
I always feel too like if I'm apologizing, I want to be sure that it is. I want it. It's got to be completely sincere, and it's. I and I. You ever feel like you want it to sound sincere as well? You are sincere, but you think
Yeah.
if I do this wrong and it comes out wrong, it's going to sound like I'm not sincere. All right. You ever hear people, this particular YouTuber I'm thinking of, that apologized for something, and then the person that they offended started to just mention a little bit about the details and how it made them feel, and then that person was like, "Well, yeah, but you did this," and it's like that apology is right. that apology is almost like it never happened. It's like we're right back where we started.
Exactly. Exactly. Or what I just said, people could turn my words around and say, well, you're just using that as an excuse for later on to say, you said you will fail me. So if you ever do anything to hurt me, you're going to use that as an excuse. No,
Right. Right.
honesty is honesty. Like people can't handle honesty either sometimes. You can be honest, but they'll believe the lie before they believe the honesty.
Mm,
Did you cheat while you were in New Orleans? No, no, no. What this card I found in your trousers.
right.
They start lying about it, and they believe that. But the first honesty, they didn't have no belief in that honesty.
Believe me, I was for a good portion of walking down Bourbon Street. I was FaceTiming. you know,
Yeah,
it's like, see, you got nothing to worry about. I'm FaceTiming, walking down Bourbon Street.
I
And
went
then
live.
of course, that's the time where one of your buddies says to the camera, "It's like, hey, are we going to the strip bar next?" And it's like, really, I'm on FaceTime with my wife. Why can't we do
Exactly,
something like
exactly.
that? Come
I went live on I went live on Facebook for that reason before too. Like I'm going live to show the world, show my girl, everybody, the people interested in. This is what I do. You know what I mean? And like
Right.
you said, you always have, or you got one of those promoters from one of those strip clubs jump down with a big ass beer sign on, the big ass beer. Hey, come on in, buddy. We got the women that you need to see, and blah blah blah. And you've
Yeah.
never seen women like this. You've never seen women like Jeff. I mean, oh my bad. That is
Like Jeff. Shoot, I went from being a cop or FBI to now I'm a woman.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Jeff. I was reading
No,
Heather's. I was reading Heather's comment. It caught me at the bottom of the screen. It said, "Jeff, no, that is not how I imagined it." Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. But
that's funny. That is funny.
yeah, you're a cop. You're an FBI, and supposedly you're the person that was in chat tonight.
Oh,
Yeah, that's gaslighting right there. What I just did to Heather, that was gaslighting. Oh, it's Heather's fault.
you know what you were talking about praying and like what will that do? And there was actually a guy who shared something in church today where he was saying he used to be the type who would pray. He'd think of his list of problems, things that he weren't going the way he wanted. He'd pray, God, can you please just take care of this, take care of this, and he wouldn't. And then he kind of feel like, what the heck, why am I even praying? And he was talking about how he was at a dinner with a bunch of people and they were all talking about all the hard stuff they went through in life, that's what formed them, made them what they were, is
Right.
what they learned from going through the struggles. So he kind of looked at the prayers in it with hindsight, that it's like, well, yeah, if he'd answer my prayers, like, take this hard thing away from me, take this hard thing away. You're basically saying, take away all the things that will turn me into the strong person that I will become later. It's like the hindsight was, I thought it was kind of, yeah, again,
That's
just
awesome
wise
insight.
stuff.
That is awesome insight, Jeff, because we oftentimes want what is making our path and our eventual becoming to be taken away, and we want it to be easy.
Right.
But if you take that one thing away that's hurting you or causing you pain or uncomfortableness, we don't understand sometimes that that is part of the molding process. You're very right on that.
Right.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, this guy was the former bishop of the church, so he's 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 a very wise guy. Um,
Yeah, exactly. A very good point. I
yeah, what
like
is
that.
it? What's that expression? That which doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. Those things that you go through, and
Well,
yeah, you come out on
wasn't
the other
it
side.
was it one of the books talking about please take the thorn from my side, and asking and asking, take the thorn from my side. You know, well, if the thorn was removed, that person would not be the same person without the thorn.
Right, right,
That is part of the abuse cycle. That is actually, in my belief, that's an abuse. That's a sign of learning to deal with abuse. Like if we remove that which is hurting you, which would be the thorn, we the person would in turn not become a better person because of the thorn being removed, but he would eventually create his own thorns back in his side. Does that
mm,
make sense?
right, right.
It's
So
kind of like
going through it ensures that you're not going to go through it again, and
right.
you understand, have an understanding, and a yeah,
Well, here's another example, Jeff. We're going back to the gym here. It's kind of like being a heavier guy. Like my senior year, I weighed probably 185. Okay. I went from 145 my sophomore year to 185. I was working out a lot, doing a lot of things, playing football, all that stuff. Well, one thing that you realize as you age, you gain weight, you lose muscle, you lose testosterone, you lose all this stuff. Well, you can work out, you can get toned, and you can get all this, but in your mind, you still have that mentality of being the bigger person
mm,
if you don't fix that as well.
Right.
Like
Right.
your esteem needs to change as well as your transformation. Otherwise, you're just going to be a toned fat guy. At
Yeah.
that, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what that's like? I know somebody, a friend of my mom's, she had kind of crooked teeth. So she was always hiding her teeth. Then she got braces, now she's got perfect teeth. Still hides her teeth. As you know, it's like,
Yeah,
it's this the old way of thinking is still there.
and that is sad, isn't it? Like it's kind of like you don't like certain people for making fun of you, and you say, "Well, if I lose weight, if I do this, if I change this, if I change that, people will accept me." But then when you change that, you still have the same mentality as you did when you were at that level that you didn't like about yourself. You still treat them the same way as you treated them before you transformed. So they're still
Right.
not going to like you. So then you become even more resentful. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know if you had the experience, but I was always been generally a shy person. Didn't really believe too much in what I had to say. And I think what I'm trying to say is I would encourage people to try things like the idea of getting on YouTube, going on panel, getting in front of a camera, talking, picking up a guitar, playing it in front of people. Try these things that really will challenge that, because as you see, like I still put my foot in my mouth, I still hit wrong notes. Um, but the confidence that it starts to build is a wonderful thing. And it's much the discomfort of, like, I'm not going to try it and I'm just going to stay here and not believe in myself. That discomfort sucks. The discomfort that's you stumble as you go along, but eventually you're building a little bit of confidence. Now now things don't suck as much, and it's
Exactly. Exactly. When I first became a therapist, I was petrified speaking to a group. I've always been shy myself as well. I wasn't ever able to talk openly in front of a group or anything like that. And any of you that have issues talking in front of crowds, or that you have a job where eventually you have to give presentations or something, my suggestion would be to get yourself a deck of cards. And as you're on the podium, get the cards, spread them out, and shuffle the cards where they can't see it, but you're flipping over one, you're flipping over another one, and that gets your mind fixated on the cards while you're talking and calms you down enough to be able to focus on what you're trying to say.
hmm,
And that worked for me. I mean, it worked for me. After a while, I
that's
no
good
longer
advice.
have
That's
the
a good tip.
cards.
Yeah.
I no longer have the cards, and I never thought I would be able to get on YouTube and show my face and talk as long as I do. We've been on here for 3 hours. Talk as long as I do, but talking in front of people has become easier. And sometimes if I think about what I'm saying, I do jumble up my words, or I say something just like what you were saying. I put my foot in my mouth, or whatever, because you get nervous. Nerves are a real thing. You know, um, and
See what Texas said. Pick
yeah,
somebody in the audience.
I
Pick
saw
somebody.
that. I've always no, no, no. I would not. I work with criminals. You understand, all guys. So that wouldn't have worked for me. You know. So you know. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to be comfortable with who you are, and if people accept you, because I would see people make fun of other people on about their appearances, about their necks, or all kinds of stuff. And I was like, oh my god, if I get on panel, they're gonna destroy me, because man, they're just gonna pick at my every imperfection or whatever. And, after a while, I just thought, you know what? If they say what they want to say, I don't care. They don't know me.
Right, right.
They're obviously keep coming back for what? To make fun of me? Isn't this an adult community? I thought we were an adult community, not a juvenile community.
Right. I think it's pretty cool though that I mean, I shouldn't say I can't or I can't imagine myself doing it because I'm basically it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I won't do it, but that you can come put the camera on, just start talking, and just be just you talking. I mean, it probably goes. I'm sure you do some preparation too. You've got prepared, but man, I don't know if I could be. No,
Not
you
at
just
all.
really
No.
wow.
Freestyle. I just
And
freestyle it.
you've just got a wealth of stuff in your head that you can share, and it's thankfully to the public and everybody, it's interesting, and it's it's something that you're sharing stuff that people can use. It's like nothing worse, I
Right.
guess, than having like a store on the boardwalk at the beach, and you're selling like hot gravy, and everybody's
Right.
like nobody's gonna buy anything from you.
Right.
Or what was that Simpsons episode where they heard the ice cream truck coming, and oh, what was the guy selling? It was like two things that you wouldn't want during the summer. It was just like
Hot chili or something, like
yeah, yeah,
chili dogs or something. Yeah.
yeah.
Leon says, I still hate after 20 years going on the phone or going into the Chinese and ordering a curry in case the word don't come out. Never leaves me totally confident, but still in my head or consciousness.
Mm.
Hey, that's understandable. It's understandable. We appreciate that, Texas. Hopefully to see you up again, because I enjoyed the last time. We just never got to finish that one. Feeling inferior is horrible. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible for a creator to sit there and talk down on one of the people in the chat, no matter what it is. It's
Is that kind of tapping into too? I think all of us have some sense of like a desire for maybe perfection, or we just want to get it
yeah,
right. And then when somebody else comes along and then like puts a spotlight on our imperfections, you know, I remember that there's a guy I one of my video job I had. I didn't really ever write any scripts, but this guy said, why don't you try your hand at this? And I remember I wrote this line. It was for a video I was working in the school system, and they had the principal of the school dressed, I think, or they had some pirates. They dressed up as pirates, and the kids. It was a big outdoor event. So I wrote this line. I still remember it to this day. I said, "Say, what's this ominous look? This ominous bunch of pirates coming?" And still to this day, we're still great friends. I still see him. We always bring that up. But what it is was like he made fun of it, and then it like crushed my thought that I could write scripts from that point.
oh,
It's like, man,
oh,
because I was young and impressionable, and I thought that like, come on, I thought I was doing a good job, and I look up to you, and then you kind of like cut me down, and I was like, man, I thought it was a pretty good line. And then what's funny is to see some other video where I see somebody's a very professionally done video, and I see a similar line they use. Say, what's this ominous looking? Hey, that's a good line. Then wasn't so bad after all.
right, right.
I didn't write scripts for
It's
10 years.
terrible. It's terrible. We can crush people's creativeness by ridicule, sarcasm. There are people that are sarcastic that say, "Well, I'm just sarcastic. I'm just joking." Well, joking, is humor wrapped around anger.
Mhm.
That is sarcasm. So there's an anger underneath your humor, and you're trying to dispose that humor with your jokes.
I heard that word sarcasm, like the
Thank you,
actual.
Leon. You have a good night. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, good night,
Be
Leon.
safe out there.
That word
Go ahead.
sarcasm I heard once. The sarcasm, the definition of sarcasm is something similar to like when you get a cut and it leaves a scar. And so that's what just like you're saying, sarcasm is maybe there's no super ill will, but it does leave a scar. There's an
Yeah,
effect to it, and that's unfortunate.
that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy because if it's at someone's expense, like you said, if there's a difference between you joking about yourself, as humor, but if you're constantly using somebody else as a scapegoat or the butt of your joke,
Right.
that's bullying. That's a bully right there. Um, so it's interesting how as human beings we communicate. Sometimes we think we're funny. I have the driest sense of humor of anybody I know, and sometimes I'll be laughing hysterically to myself, and everybody will look at you like you just broke wind in church. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, okay, you're just kind of like, okay, I think I'll go over here in the corner and just laugh at my own joke. Let me wander off here.
Yeah, here's like from the Greek. I just did a Google search about the word sarcasm. It's like in Greek, it's like a cutting remark that literally means to tear flesh like a dog. I mean, and thus leaves a scar. I think the person I heard talking about it was they were focused on the scar that sarcasm, leaves.
Yeah, I mean, sarcasm has a lot of different meanings.
Hey, there's a guy in chat that's got your name. Oh, wait, that's you. Never mind. No, I'm just kidding.
Look, there's a guy named 12 Gauge in your chat. Wow. He cloned you, bro. He cloned you. No, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. I'm still not comfortable doing as many lives as I was. I mean, I don't really. I have a very controversial one coming up, and I'm still debating whether to do it or not, but it needs to be talked about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it on my live, but I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to still figure out how to
What's the
do it.
subject?
Huh?
What's the subject of it?
It's about pornography and the
Oh, right,
detriment it does to the children
right,
that
right.
are raised around it, or
It's a dark
grow up.
subject, that dark
Yeah,
subject that nobody talks about, but
yeah,
affects so many. Yeah,
yeah. Like I said, my touch on things sometimes is like breaking wind in church. It's just not not the most acceptable thing to do.
right.
But if you hold it in, you will explode. At least I've
Yeah.
been told that since I was a kid.
You don't want to explode. I mean, it in a way it is a kind of a funny subject if you think the way that we're. I don't even know where to go with it. It's funny because isn't it a subject that it kind of gets talked about, but in a joking way. You
Right,
you make comments with your friends that might reveal something of that side, but not. It's not like we're discussing it. It's like,
right,
yeah,
right. I mean, the only reason I would discuss something like that is due to all the children that are being trafficked, you know,
right,
and
right,
that's one of the reasons why I even brought that into the mix with all that was because it was it was one of the parts of the trafficking, you know,
yeah.
and you see it, right?
Heather said, "You see it, right? You see it."
Stop drinking pre-workout before church. That's protein. Yeah, protein will do that to you. You see it, right, Heather? You see it?
Yeah, you see it. I knew you saw it. Where were we, Heather? We were talking about that. I remember saying like I miss saying that, doing that little thing with the 12 gauge on a live. You see it, right?
No, we're talking about the Elantra, I think. You see it, right?
Yeah. But no, Heather brought that up in some other chat
Oh,
that
she
I was
did?
in and was saying that you see it, right? So,
Yeah, we we joke about that a lot because sometimes you do need to be told what you see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like negative, and I'm not talking about anybody in chat currently, but the other night I had somebody in my chat talking about a creator, and they were talking about something that they had said or something like that, and I'm like, I was all in my feels the other night, boy. I don't know if you saw that live, but I was detoxing, I think, from the toxicity of the water or whatever, but I kind of went off on them. Like I said, I've been rude to people and not intentionally, but they were talking about what another creator said or what they saw, and I said, "Well, that's good, I'm glad they see it." But you know what? It doesn't mean that I have to see it
Right.
because there's a lot of things that honestly I look at and I have no clue what I'm looking at. Yeah, I have no clue.
Right. It's like, you look up in the clouds and it's, hey, that's a giraffe. And it's like, really? How
Right.
do you put that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, bro, shut the, like, get out of here. There was no grace in my voice that night. I was, having kids in the back seat arguing. You want to hear one of the argument that I had to listen to for an hour and a half? Listen to this, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
We went through Walmart and I bought some stuff, for the beach and whatever because we had forgotten towels or something. And we were walking out and there was no greeter, at the front. The person who checks your
Receipt.
receipt. But
Yeah.
one of the kids said, "Where's the greeter? There's always a greeter at our Walmart." Blah blah blah. The other kid said, "Well, it's a it's a policy that they all of them should have a greeter just in case somebody walks out with something they didn't pay for." And they started, bro. And they started on that. They were looking up the policy on Walmart. They were calling Walmart. They were, it was, one of them was saying, "No, it's only if you're walking out with something that's not in the bag." And I don't know what the policy is. I don't know what it is about Walmart, whether they need a greeter, whether that's part of their policy, whether every one of them should have one, whether they shouldn't, all this and that. But I had to hear about it for an hour and a half. Then we went into another store, and this lady even, like, jumped in on our stuff. You know what she did? She handed us little Bible cards. I said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And she was jumping into our argument. I was like, "Oh my God." It was the Dutch Brothers coffee. I was at that point. My brain, I was like, I swear, if they put methamphetamines in there, I would have been tweaking, bro. Like I was like, it was that bad.
I could
And to
see I
listen,
could see a TV commercial for Dutch Brothers with that scenario. You go into Walmart,
yeah,
family goes
yeah,
in.
you're sitting there and you're just looking at these kids, and they're like going back and forth, and they're fighting about it, and they're looking up stuff on the cell phone, and you're like, "Oh, if I could choke you out right now, I would. If I could just like smother you with this pillow, I would." It's,
It almost sounds like true crime investigation and debate.
yes. And I'm like, and it was like, "I'm right. No, you're right. No, you're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. You're," and I was like, "Oh my God, if I have to take y'all with this stupid argument the rest of the way, I'm dropping y'all off somewhere. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it." And the coffee was just hitting too hard that day. And I just was not in
Did
a
they
good
ever
place.
resolve the debate, or is it still going
I
today?
think it is a policy for Walmart to have greeters, quote unquote greeters.
Well, Twizzle
And
said greeters or theft protection,
yeah,
prevent
yeah,
fraud
I think
prevention.
that is true. I think that is true.
Yeah,
Because they randomly ask for your receipt. They don't ask everybody's receipt,
right.
you
You got to
know?
get you got to get past. That's the last, then out the door you go.
Yes, yes,
But if
exactly.
anything else, it probably also, if you're thinking you're going to walk out, keep your head down, you're going to have to talk to somebody. Your head's probably going to come up and the camera's going to get a good shot of you. And
Good point. Good point
yeah,
right there. Yeah. Did you see what Heather said?
was that?
She said, "Can I talk to you about the Lord?" I mean, I've never been stopped and asked for a receipt because I would be like, "You're racial profiling me, aren't you?"
I've watched
That
a
was,
lot of videos with people
that
that
was dry humor
give
right there. That was
those
dry
people.
humor.
Oh, the racial profiling.
Yeah, the racial profiling. Yeah.
Yeah, I said there's videos on YouTube with people that it is interesting that you see these videos, these people fighting, having to show their receipt, and in the end you find out they did steal something. Again, it goes back to like if you just be truthful, just that
Yeah.
life is much simpler.
Twizzle said, "I'm going to use that next time." Oh my goodness, you guys. I don't get asked for the receipts, you know? I'm just like I look at them like, go ahead and try me. I didn't steal none of that. The bananas I paid for them.
Well,
The
maybe
yogurt.
you just look honest. They don't need to
Yeah, I was like, bro, I need the yogurt. Can't you see I'm changing my life?
or maybe they've told these greeters that if you do find somebody that has stolen something, it's your responsibility to take him to the ground. And they see you and they're like, "Oh, there's no way I can take him. Just go on ahead, go on ahead."
Next time I'm gonna self checkout and not use a bag. I'm just gonna wheel everything out. See if they stop me.
Yeah, that's the big giveaway, right? If it's not in a bag, it looks like you just went right from inside the store to heading for the door.
Yeah, and if they stop me, I'm gonna be like, look, it's my first day at self checkout. I didn't know I was supposed to use a bag. I don't like self checkout. Do you go to self checkout, Jeff, or do you go to the cashier, the one
There's
cashier?
sometimes there's part of me that feels like, don't you get this feeling sometimes like this self checkout is in place of what would be a job for somebody? Sometimes I look at it that way.
Well, there's four Walmart employees staring at you while you're self checking out. I mean, what's the point?
Right, right. But I think too, I mean, I sometimes, especially if I've got like vegetables or things you have to weigh, I feel like I just want to be sure that's done right and correct. And I just feel like just giving it to a human. Plus, it's nice to just talk to a human that's ringing you up and just have a conversation. So
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
don't know. I always feel like like the other day, that day, I happened to be in a hurry and I don't know what it was. The coffee was hidden. I was double ringing everything. So she kept coming over and giving me that annoyed look. And I told her, I said at the last time, I said, if you would just do this, we would get out of here faster than me doing it. Obviously, you know what you're doing. I have no clue. My mind is racing. These kids are arguing about something. I need out of here. She's like, okay, let me help you. She grabbed the rest of my stuff. Cheek, cheek, cheek. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much.
What's
I
that line
didn't.
from Pulp Fiction? I'm a race car in the red. I'm a race car in the red. You know.
Exactly, exactly. You get it. You get it. I mean, that day, I think that was day number one of vacation, technically.
Yeah.
So we were on our way, and we had, I didn't stop at another Walmart, not one. We went to Target. We went everywhere but Walmart. I didn't want to bring that back up in their minds. You know how kids are, man. They just like to argue about the dumbest stuff. It's like, or they're so competitive.
You
They're
should
so.
pick up a job application for him from Walmart, is like for a greeter. Say, here you go. You seem
Oh
so
my God,
interested.
they would be stopping everybody. Have you stolen today? You look like you're a thief.
He'd be patting him down, giving
Yeah.
frisking him. Oh man, that's the
Oh,
one thing that one place I went to in New Orleans. There was just one place where they actually took a photo. They ran it your ID, took a photo of it, ran it through a machine. The guy, you have to put your arms up like this. The guy frisked me, grabbed both of my butt cheeks. I was like, man,
that is attached. That is attached. Please let go.
that's what
Twiddle says,
that's what I should have
serious,
told my wife. Nobody grabbed my butt except for the guy that frisked me on the way into the club.
Twizzle says, seriously though, I could not go back to regular checkout. I always get stuck behind someone having an issue in food stamps or something.
Oh, with coupons or
You don't put a kid at the door to check people because they will take that shit seriously. Yeah, they'll be super cop. I
yeah,
just wanted to take my five items and zoom through the checkout.
yeah.
Well, I was just double tapping everything for some reason, or I couldn't find the barcode.
Or sometimes you get items that have two barcodes, and you ever see that where they're doing it? They have to block the barcode with their hand. I think I've seen that at Home Depot. They've got we'll have
Yes,
that kind of
exactly.
thing.
We went to a thrift store because I lost my duffel bag, right? And I didn't feel like paying full price for one. And I got one of those cool fold in the middle ones, with the little handle, and they have the zippers on the inside.
Hmm,
Well,
hmm.
it's $4.99. I thought, wow, this is a bargain, bro. I'm gonna get this. So I got it. I get up to the cashier, right, and she can't find the price tag. And I'm being patient at this point. This is a different day, so you know she's looking for the price, and I'm like, well, it said $4.99. She's like, I can't take your word for it. It has to be the price tag. I'm like, oh shit. Let me go steal the other one off the other one next to it. She's like, no, you can't do that. We have our own barcode for each and every item in the store. I'm like, what kind of place is this? Like, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then she called the manager over there. He looks at me first. I'm like, why are you looking at me first before you're gonna give me a price? Are you gonna like make sure that I can afford it or what? What's the deal here? Like he did, bro. He
you
he
think he's gonna
he
feel
got up
sorry
there.
for you? It's like, give him a
He's
break.
like, he said $4.99. Yeah, I give it to him for $4.99.
Mm,
Oh my god.
yeah, yeah.
$4.99. It was a bargain. This one my biggest buys on the trip for myself. I spent. I don't know why I'm complaining. I had an awesome time. Don't take the kid to the Nike store. Don't take the kid to the Nike store.
You ever work in retail, like at a cash register? And one of my first job was it was called Drug Fair. I don't think they have them anymore, but it was like a CVS type of place. But I
Yeah.
still remember, every now and then you'd have to be like, price check. Funniest thing was though, I had a guy once that came into the place, and I can't remember which way it was. He came in, I couldn't quite understand he had a thick accent, and I thought he said he was looking for candles, so I took him over to the candles. Turns out he was looking for condoms. So it was a little embarrassing, or it might have been the other way around. Maybe I took him to the condoms and he was looking for candles. Actually, that's a better story.
Wow.
Better. I remember then too. We had a cash register. You had to punch the numbers. Like if it was $1.29, you had to hit 1, 2, 9, and they had the little panels that would slide up in the window, and we had to calculate the tax, in our heads. Luckily, it was like 4 cents for every dollar, so it was not too hard to.
Right. Right. Man.
Oh, and I had my friend Scotty. I remember he was loading the beer cooler, with the cardboard flat boxes with the beer cans. He dropped it and one of them started spraying this one spray out of it. So he took it and he just putting it into his mouth. And the manager, I remember her name was Sally. Sally came over like, Scotty, what the heck are you doing? He's like, well, I don't want to get it all over the floor. That was hilarious.
Wow. You
Like,
know, what is it that makes us when we can't understand somebody and we've asked them more than once to repeat what the hell they're saying? How come we start agreeing with them after that? Like I found myself saying yes, yes to whatever they were saying just to get through the awkwardness. You get what I mean there?
you mean it? You mean as an instead of asking them to repeat it, you?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
we encountered, different nationalities, and some people you can't understand that clearly. And I asked him, "Excuse me," and he said it again, and I looked at the kids. I was like, "What did he say?" And they said, "Oh, I don't know." So I asked him again. I said, "I'm sorry, sir. I'm having a hard time understanding you." And I could tell he was getting upset at it. And I was like, "Okay, I'm not asking anymore." Then he started telling me all kinds of stuff, and I was like, "Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah," just to get him to shut up. And I left the counter, and I'm like, "What the hell did I just agree to?"
right,
Like,
right.
am I gonna?
You probably show
This
up
is
with his bags at your house. So you said I could live here, right? Remember we had that
right.
conversation.
You know what I mean? You're just like, what am I agreeing to, bro? What am I agreeing to? You
Well, you know what's
know?
funny? That same guy that had the beer in his mouth, Scotty. When I first met him, Scotty was from like the border of Virginia and North Carolina. So he had a very thick Southern accent, and
Okay.
but I didn't understand that that's what his accent was. I thought he was slightly hearing impaired, and I remember he's like, hey man, why do you? He's like, why you always yelling around me? I'm like, I was like, man, I'm sorry. I thought you were, you know, hearing impaired.
Wow.
But
At least you weren't agreeing with everything, bro. You could have
someone
been.
just nodding and saying, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Okay.
remember too, Scotty didn't go to 7-Eleven. He went up to, he said, I'm going up 7-Eleven. Like 7-Eleven. In my mind, I think, how do you spell 7-Eleven?
I had a friend just like that. He had a very thick country accent. It just, you just have to, you learn to understand him.
Yeah.
He went to the refrigerator.
Refrigerator. Yeah.
Yeah, the refrigerator. Yeah, and batteries.
The what?
Batteries.
Batteries? Oh, for
Yeah,
instead of
batteries.
batteries?
Yeah, batteries.
Batteries.
Batteries. He used batteries.
Scotty was after this Spanish girl that lived across the hall from me. Her name was China, I remember. Um, Scotty was talking to her one day, and he said, with this southern accent, he says, China, you got nice eyes. And she slapped him. She thought he said she had a nice ass. He was trying to compliment her on her eyes. But it was so funny to see China's family. I remember, I guess we were all playing a card game or something, and to see all these older, her family, her uncle, her dad, just they'd all be across the table, and they'd be saying, in Spanish, and then they'd say 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven.
I mean, it's a funny way how we communicate sometimes. Like some of these guys that I'm talking about on the trip. They had to literally. I felt so dumb sometimes. Like they were drawing stuff out, and they were writing it out. I'm like, this guy thinks I'm intellectually impaired, or something.
Right.
I can't understand you. I can't understand you. Or they tell you, "Oh, everything okay, buddy? Everything okay?" I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. I don't get what you're saying.
But that's a
Okay,
good idea. Yeah, you could say, just draw me a picture.
you see it, right? You see it,
You
right?
see- you see- what was
No, I asked this guy. I said because he said, "Okay, you're on the third floor," and I was like, "The third door?" And we went around and around with that because it sounded like he was saying, "You're at the third door," and I was like, "What the?" Like the kids are arguing, kicking each other. This in the background. You're like, what? Third door, third door. Okay.
Yeah, that sucks when especially if it's something that somebody is telling you that's important and you can't understand them. It's like I think on the plane coming back from New Orleans and or no, heading out. I guess the pilot was talking about, or maybe the stewardess was talking about, important stuff regarding your baggage claim, or it's like, I don't understand what she said. I have no clue what she said. It's like, oh crap, what'd she say?
Yeah, or you're given specific directions and you don't have a clue where you're going, and you're just like, yeah, yeah, okay, okay, thank you. Can you? And then you're asking the kids, and they're like, well, he said turn this way, and he said that, and they're arguing about what direction they heard, and you're like, bro,
But
shoot me
isn't
now.
it amazing though? Then there are other people, you observe them, listen to that same person, and you're like, I can't understand what they said, and you see that person get it all.
Yeah,
It's like how did you catch what they? It's like, is my ears or what's going on?
they've been there before. That has to be it. Like
Yeah,
I don't, I don't know. It was fun though. It was fun. The Louisiana accent is a thick one. The Kunaz, the
yeah,
Cajun accent. I mean,
Asian.
that's a difficult one sometimes to understand the wording, but it's an interesting dialect. I like it. It's just hard to understand sometimes, because language is different. Or you hear people talking in their native language, and you're like, and they're looking at you while they're talking. You're like, they're talking shit, aren't they? You know?
Yeah, sometimes I hear when my wife's having a conversation with one of her cousins or something, and then it switches to Spanish. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
are you talking about me? Aren't you? You switch to Spanish because you're talking about me.
they're talking about me, right? And they're laughing, right, at the whole time.
They're laughing, and every now and then you hear Jeff mixed in there. It's like, I know you're talking about me. I heard my name.
And then you hear, no es todos capa de ti.
What was that? Remember that Ace Ventura movie? Where he got the spears stuck in both of his legs, but he had that guy translating for him from what the tribe was saying, and Jim Carrey's character is like, tells in talking to the interpreter, he's like, "Did you just refer to me as White Devil?" He's like, "Yeah, that's how they know you." It's like, "Don't call me White Devil." Trying to tell them I'm not a devil.
I know it's crazy. Like we went to the Spanish restaurant, and my Spanish is okay. I get by. I get by. But I was asking the lady for, I don't know if you've ever had stew meat, and they call it guiso
Hmm.
down here. Okay? And I asked her, I said, "You have a guiso plate?" And she looked at me like I just insulted her mother or something. And I was like, stew meat, like pork. And she's like, "No." And she got the menu and she pointed at it and she said, "Steak bits al ranchero." And I was like, okay, all right, bro. Like, my side of the state, they refer it as giso, and that's what they call it, giso. And she went off, and the kids were laughing at me. They're like, I said, "What's so damn funny?" And I got down to their level this week, Jeff.
Yeah.
And I said, "What's so funny, man?" And they're like, "That lady put you in your place. She checked you." And I'm like, "No, she did not." "Yes, she did. She checked you." I was like, "Okay, you okay? You're right. She checked me. Okay, so what? I'm still getting the food. But it was beef tips, and they came with rice and beans and guacamole, and it
Yeah.
was good. It had fresh tortillas and stuff. And does your wife cook that kind of food, or is
Um.
that something that isn't in your
No,
household?
I don't recognize those dishes, but she's a great cook. She's a great cook. We don't cook meals at home nearly as much as we ought to.
Yeah,
We really, really should. We're terrible about going out to either like Outback Steakhouse or Chili's or We got a couple
Well,
places.
you got that government money, bro. You can just splurge on yourself.
Oh, that's right. The Fed money. Yeah. Yeah, I get fed on the Fed. No, we have a couple places that have really good snow crab legs. So that's my favorite. Or Alaskan crab legs. I think I can't remember the
You know,
long
I
ones.
had crab claws for the very first time. Have you ever had that? Crab
Crab
claws,
claws? No,
where they
no.
get the claws and they dip them in batter and they fry them.
Oh, okay, okay.
You like just bite it off and there's crab meat in there.
Huh.
Pretty good. I'll send you a picture of them later
Yeah,
on.
I could see trying that. I don't eat much seafood, but the crab legs, Alaskan. See, I forget. I can't. There's snow crab legs and Alaskan crab legs. I know there's one that's they're really big and hard to crack. Jeff's a Fed. I don't know who has said that. You know, there's some.
It might have been Heather.
Oh yeah, probably
You
Heather.
know that other Heather.
But I love yeah, we get a couple crab.
Okay,
I
Paula, you've had them. They're delicious. I'd never had them before. They're pretty good.
Is that kind of a new thing? I don't think I've ever even heard of a
I don't know if they're new or not, but they had them as
I
an
mean the preparation of
appetizer.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
flipping Heathers are a huge problem.
I
Isn't
remember
there meat
I used to
called
work
Heathers?
I used to work for a guy who taught me how to crack the snow crab legs. And at the time we went to a place that was I think it was called Chesapeake Bay Seafood House, and they had all you can eat. And
Okay.
he had taught me how to crack the legs, and it was great. It worked. The meat would slide right out. You get the whole piece of meat in one shot. And I would sit there with the little legs and the little parts, and he's like, "It's all you can eat. Just throw that away. You know, don't mess around with the little stuff. You ain't no time for that. You
Oh
know."
yeah.
And it's funny because now I have that mentality, or it kicks in every now and then. It's like, but this isn't all you can eat, so you do have to go after the little legs too.
Right, right. Rhonda, you're right. Have you ever had blue crab? Blue crab delicious too.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, blue crab is a little better than the red crab.
Yeah, I should be a little more adventurous with because I've never really tried lobster or um,
Crab leg, too much effort. Yeah, exactly.
that's the thing though. If you get the system down, I mean, you go right through it. It's all about pulling at the joint and pulling that. It's almost like a dental floss that's real thin.
Yeah, yeah.
Once you pull that out, because then it'll slide right out. And those long pieces, if you take them long ways and just kind of crack them like that and crack them back the other way, and then that comes right out.
That was in
Go get some
Alabama where
crab
I
legs,
went,
Chris.
but it wasn't a Chinese place. It's called a place called the Shrimp Basket. I don't know if y'all have heard of that in Alabama, Florida area,
Mm-mm.
Floribama. The Shrimp Basket.
And 12 gauge,
Yeah.
if we do end up going to like Idaho for the trial, we'll get together with Twiz and we'll go out and get some crab legs or something.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
We'll have to invite Paula. She's from that area too. So
Awesome.
Rondy's not too far. You come on down from Portland. Come on to the trial. Hey, we can have a what do you call it? A YouTube creator sub party down there. Hey, we can get a 1122 or even Linda Lane and go have a party.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Kane will tell us all the good restaurants to hit in that area.
Yeah. God. I wonder how hard it is to fillet fish. I don't know why I just thought of that, but obviously somebody we're not going to talk about tonight wasn't very good at it.
I had a friend show me. We went fishing, and then he showed me how to chop the head off and then scale it. And I tried it, but I was like, "This is kind of gross." I feel. I don't know. There's something about. I feel like this fish was alive just earlier today, swimming around, and now look what I'm doing to it. It doesn't feel right. It's for somebody else to do. I'll eat it, but
crawdads are nasty. Heather says, "Twiddle stick, your eyebrow is the bushiest." Wow, you're still under suspicion, Twiddle. Crawdads. I can't get into crawdads. They remind me too much of like I don't know a water beetle or something. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't do
Like eating
crawdads.
a cockroach from the sea.
Yeah, yeah. I
We got
can't.
all
I
different.
can't.
Forrest Gump teaches us that we got all different kinds of shrimp.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, they were the bubble gum down there on the Riverwalk in San Antonio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have all kinds of shrimp.
Got
Shrimp,
boiled shrimp,
shrimp
fried shrimp,
kebab.
shrimp kebab, shrimp on a stick.
Right, right. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that I mean, I love that movie when it came out.
We have at the what is it over at which restaurant? Oh, it's Outback has the coconut shrimp. I love those.
Yeah, shrimp on the Barbie. It that shrimp, that four pieces of shrimp that comes on a bread, on that brown bread.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's shrimp on the Barbie. My buddy used to work it out back. They have a bunch of different dishes now. Wallaby darn. Their steak is pretty good at Outback.
You know what? I go into Outback thinking I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to get a wedge salad. I love their wedge salad. I'm
Yeah,
going to get a baked potato. And next thing you know, my wife's talking me into okay, we're going to get an appetizer. Um, it used to be now we can somehow manage to both look away from the dessert menu when it comes time to do that. We can cut off there, but man, it's
yeah.
just it's a
Shrimp
kind of
poor
thing. It's
boy
like
is good.
I hear about people that are like alcoholics and they're in a relationship. One is an alcoholic, they're trying to quit. You both got to be in on it to make it
Yeah,
work. Because and it's the same thing when I go to the restaurant. I'm gonna eat healthy. I'm gonna eat healthy. And then I see what she orders. And I was like, I'll have what she's having.
right. Shrimp poor boys are good. They really are.
But
Not
you know what,
enough
12
food.
gauge. I'm looking at the time. If I want to continue to have nice dinners with her, I better go to bed or she's gonna disown me.
Yeah, I need to crash myself. I don't know why I'm so talkative tonight. I guess it's
Yeah, I was
just
so tired when I first got on here. I was like,
all the adrenaline, bro. All the adrenaline. Well, guys, thank you so much for being in chat. I'm gonna call it a night too. Um, you guys continue to join us on the or join myself or whenever Jeff's up here again. Join
yeah,
us
let me
in
go.
this
Let me go ahead
live.
and jump off now because I know what'll happen after you sign off. We'll be on here in Streamyard and we'll talk for another 3 hours, just you and me.
All right, Jeff. You have a good one, buddy. Thanks for
All
being
right.
up here.
Thanks for having
Bye
me
bye.
out. Good.
Well, it's not my bedtime. I don't have to go back to work till Wednesday, so I mean I'm good. But it's 11:26 here. I don't know what time it is over there on the western side of the world, but I've had a good time tonight, guys. I'm glad that y'all signed on and stayed on for as long as you have. It's 3 hours and 49 minutes. It's a long one for myself. Um, I know we really got away from the Serenity part very early because we had some people on here that were not very Serenity, but you know, hopefully next Sunday we'll be able to do it closer to normal time and um we'll get back on track. Like you heard me Jeff say, I'm not gonna really go live a lot like I was because I'm gonna just kind of wind down on a lot of things because not because I don't want to. It just I don't know. I've kind of been doing some focusing on some other things that I want to put my attention to. But but if the topic is right, I will hop on. I will do chats. I'm probably not going to be on other panels like I was before because there's certain creators that I really don't care for. Not personally as a person, but what they stand for as far as the community. And I'm tired of being on panels that could jeopardize my own channel. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna have certain people on my panel that are not in the same ballpark. I mean, we do agree to disagree, but when it comes to certain things, y'all know what I'm talking about. If you've been in here at any time in my channel, you know what I'm talking about as far as the type of creators that I'm not gonna have on my panel. Um, but I might go live tomorrow and do that one that I've been wanting to do. It's gonna be kind of subject sensitive, so if you have any kind of past sexual abuse or any kind of trauma or PTSD or any kind of stuff like that, you might not want to attend it because it could be triggersome. Um, no, I don't like to do that at all because I'm my own person. I came into this by myself. I don't need other people in order to succeed or fail. I can do that myself, you know. But as far as the subject concerned, I'm not gonna make it so graphic that it's gonna be uncomfortable. What I'm gonna do is I'm linking this to human trafficking. So that's why I decided to show this because it shows different sides of personality changes when you're exposed to such dramatic instances early on in life. So if you are able to watch that and you don't have any kind of past issues with any of that stuff, I'd love for you guys to join me sometime this week. I'm not sure if it's going to be tomorrow or the next day or maybe Friday. I don't really know. You know how I am. I could jump on at any time. So be kind of looking for the live at any time. So hopefully, if you don't catch it live, you will get a replay. And I'm thankful to be back. I'm thankful from the week long suspension that I had to serve out. The food sucked. The view was terrible, and my celly snored. So that tells you a little bit about my time off of YouTube. But I'm back now, and hopefully I'm back for good. I'm not gonna make the same mistake, or at least try not to. Um, Thank you so much for sticking it out with me, and I will see y'all again soon. Y'all know what I say, right? Know what I say? What do I say? Somebody type it in. Let me hear it. I have no clue, Heather. I have no clue. What do I usually say when I end my lives? Jameson, cue that music. No, you're right, Rhonda. You're right. You guys have a wonderful night. Be safe out there. Be vigilant, and take care of yourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. You guys are awesome. Continue to show up. Hit the like button if you can. Subscribe if you watch this on replay, and all the other good stuff that's on the channel. See y'all soon. Bye for now.